Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell. Joining me here on a great, beautiful Monday, Jason Cameron. We're going to break down another amazingly fantastic weekend of sports. So much to talk about, so much to get into. First of all, how was your weekend? How did it go for you?
Weekend was good. Uh, I was pretty relaxing. Just had some friends over to watch the UFC on Saturday, and
Nice,
that's about it.
nice. Well, the weekend guess kicked off with the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight.
Yeah.
We don't usually get many fights on Friday, but they decided to not go up against UFC, I guess, and put it on their own night and made it a Friday. It was successful in the sense that 60 million people tuned in on Netflix. It was the most heavily bet fight on since Mayweather and Mayweather Pacquiao, and
Okay.
it really moved the needle for a lot of people. It got boxing back in the spotlight. Unfortunately, it involved a 58-year-old man that really didn't have it anymore. Unfortunately, he looked good in sparring, looked good in training, hitting the pads, but when it came to the ring, he just couldn't do what he used to do, and so it was a pretty definitely disappointing, lackluster fight. And yeah, and all in all, I guess I would put it on the disappointing scale in the whole scheme of things.
So I tried to watch the fight. I think I got through 4 rounds, and I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm done.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It seemed to me like he was injured,
Yeah.
like Mike Tyson. Like,
Yeah.
like okay, granted, yes, he's old. He's 58 years old or whatever. But even at 58, you should still have some semblance of balance if everything is working properly with your legs. I think he had it seemed like he had a knee injury of some sort. He didn't
Yeah.
have his balance
Well, he
when
was
he.
wearing that sleeve on
Yeah,
the right knee. So yeah, right away, as soon as I saw him on his walkout, I thought, oh, that's kind of strange. I wonder what's wrong there.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, right. And it just seemed super obvious to me that he was dealing with something. But at the end of the day, like you said, he's 30 years older than his opponent, and it really showed.
Yeah. Somehow they were able to make us believe that he still might have it, still
Yeah,
might have that power. Lots of people were saying, that's the last thing to go on a
yeah,
human being is your power.
yeah.
But I remember talking to a fighter who said that he was really disappointed and had to retire because he was there and he thought in his head, I want to throw this punch. And by the time it actually got thrown by his body, the guy was way out of the range. And
Okay,
so you're not firing like you did when you're in your prime. You're not able to process the information and make the reaction. Those fast twitch muscles don't fire as fast as they do. And somehow, in his training videos, from the things that Jake Paul put out, from the things that were just promoted, we all thought that, oh, he's just going to be able to just bob and weave, march forward, and still land those shots. And Jake Paul's in trouble. But as they say, Father Time is undefeated. I
yeah.
hate that bastard Father Time. I wish somehow someone could defeat him, but year after year, event after event, sport after sport, we see that once a guy gets to a certain age, he just doesn't have it anymore.
No, no, absolutely, and definitely Tyson did not have it.
Yeah.
It was pretty disappointing. It was
Yeah.
it was a disappointing match.
A lot of other takeaways from this fight. Netflix getting into live sports for the first time. Netflix is so influential on the world because basically it killed the video stores. It
Yeah,
made people all gather around their laptops, gather around their TVs, and watch movies from all over the world. I heard a number of 293 million subscribers around the planet. There was other reports it was 280 million or so. So it's incredible that Jake Paul was able to convince them that this was the first thing to put on as their showcase event and start getting into the world of sports. And the wild thing about Netflix during the broadcast was that they started promoting some of their shows, and they also started promoting some of the other sports that they're going to get into. On Christmas Day, we're going to see two NFL football games on Netflix, nowhere else. And on January 6th, WWE is going to start showing their weekly Raw program on Netflix as well. And it's incredible. It's an amazingly seminal moment for sports, but the streaming service wasn't that good. It was buffering, it was cloudy, it was difficult to watch it. A lot of people called and complained and said, like, what the hell's going on here? And imagine if you're paying, big money to watch these events and it's doing that. You're going to be even that much more mad. But a lot of people were really upset. And I don't think the NFL is going to be able to accept that. The WWE might, but I doubt it. How are these sporting organizations going to ensure that they're going to get cable quality for their broadcasts compared to what we see on streaming with buffering?
Yeah, that's a big time problem that Netflix is going to have to figure out because, and you reminded me because I had a couple of friends that were besides yourself that were watching the fights and they said, oh man, I don't know what's going on. I can't, like, it's like it was buffering or for some of them, it just dropped the connection completely.
Wow.
So that tells me that their infrastructure is not ready for that demand.
Yeah.
Not yet, anyways. And so
Yeah.
they got to fix that quickly.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly.
Yeah. Lorraine's oldest daughter, she said we started talking about it on Thursday last week. We talking about the Tyson fight, and she said, "Oh, I hope they don't have streaming issues like they did, and they've had some live events, other type of shows that they put on, and they've had serious streaming problems because most can't handle 60 million people logging on all at the same time and trying to watch it. And so, how are they going to be able to change this? Will this change the world so we won't have buffering problems? We won't have streaming issues. I've had so many streaming problems in the entire time I've tried to watch sports on streaming. I've tried to watch anything really on streaming. I've had issues, and these massive organizations like NFL, WWE, UFC, a lot of these are not going to be able to accept that because people will just not bother tuning in next time. And they're going to lose big, big, big money, and they're going to lose credibility. And, we've talked about lots of times in the last few years about how everybody's cutting off their cable. These networks are starving to keep people tuned into them. This is kind of that tipping point where, if we can get sports and it doesn't buffer, then everybody's going to cut off their cable eventually, and that's going to be it. It's just going to be streaming from now on.
Yeah, and you know what? I think eventually it's going to happen.
Yeah,
like we're already moving in that direction. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
but before everybody's like completely committed to the streaming and just watching it on the internet or whatever, the buffering has to be fixed.
Yeah,
but that'll be fixed when the entirety of the infrastructure of the internet and just the speeds, the bandwidth speeds and everything, once that's all improved, then this buffering issue will be gone.
Right. Yeah. The other thing that I thought about quite a bit over the past few weeks and leading up to this is how, Jake Paul is one of the most hated men on the planet. A lot of people put themselves out there, and if you're arrogant, if you're brash, you have a lot of opinions, people are going to hate you. And that's just the way it is. And guys like that have to just get to the point where they don't care. You know, they know people love them, but they know people hate them, and they just don't care. But I really have to give it to him so much with being able to check off another thing on a bucket list. And it just blows my mind that you know, you can see a guy who's just gets famous from YouTube crazy stupid videos like Jackass kind of thing, and
Mhm.
can all of a sudden, you know, 10, 15 years later, like 10 years later, basically, he can say, I want to fight Mike Tyson.
Mhm.
It's like somebody that's a basketball player says, I want to do one-on-one with Michael Jordan. It's like
Yeah.
somebody wants to play shinny hockey with Wayne Gretzky. Somebody wants to face Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, you know, Babe Ruth, Reggie
Mhm.
Jackson.
Yeah.
It is amazing that a guy can really just change the world by just becoming so influential, having so much followers, subscribers, and that, and actually call out the baddest man on the planet and make this happen. It to me, it's absolutely mind blowing, and it's incredible that a guy like that can set a goal, set a dream, make a bucket list, and check off that as one of them.
Yeah, it is pretty incredible. Like it's pretty incredible what he's been able to accomplish in a and it doesn't even seem like it's been a long time in a very short amount of time.
No.
Like what he's done. And on top of that, for the event itself, you knew it was a big time thing because look at how many celebrities were there.
Yeah.
How many professional athletes. Like him selling the fight might be his greatest attribute that he has
Yeah.
because he's a great promoter. He's able to sell the fight, and then plus on top of that, by selling the price to make it look like Tyson was still viable, which
Yeah.
we found out he was not.
He wasn't. Yeah. Tell me about your bucket list. If you had a bucket list to, you know, play with, get, you know, get some time to be in the ring, in the cage, on the field, you know, somewhere with your sports idols. Tell me, maybe your top five bucket list.
Top five, eh? I think number one would be going to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And like yeah, going to see a Super Bowl, maybe get like the VIP treatment, hang out with like Barry Sanders, as we
Nice.
watch the Super Bowl together. That would be pretty dope. That would be
Nice.
cool. Second would be uh probably watching maybe an NCAA basketball final.
Mm,
For March Madness.
okay.
That would be sweet. That would be fantastic. I'd really love to do that. Another one, cage side for a huge UFC in Vegas. But
Nice.
I'm talking about like if it was like a UFC, like one of this like 400, something
Right.
like that,
Okay.
like one of the big ones, that would be cool. Or if I had gone to the UFC when it was at the Sphere, that would have been
That would
awesome.
be huge.
That would have been dope.
Yeah.
And then seeing any sort of finals game for basketball, any
Nice.
sort of finals game for basketball. There you go.
What about actually playing with an athlete? What about actually like hanging out with an athlete? Who would be if you had your ultimate
Um,
sit down, you're sitting at a restaurant, you've
mhm.
got five guys around the table, who would have been the guys that you would just absolutely love to sit down and hang with?
Five guys at a table. Yeah. Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, because I love Deion. Like he was actually the reason why I loved the Atlanta Falcons, to be honest
Nice.
with you.
Okay.
Like
All
so
right.
because he was awesome. One, two. Uh I think MJ, Michael Jordan, even though he probably wouldn't be very nice to me, but I'd still like him to be there. Who else? Who else? Reggie Jackson, the baseball. I think that would be pretty cool. He would be very cool hang and very cool to talk to. Very
Incredible.
cool.
Incredible.
And one more, eh? One more. I'm gonna go off a little bit off the rails here. Undertaker from the WWE.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
man.
Wow.
Because I've watched his podcast. That dude is cool. Like
Yeah.
I think he would just be like I think he just have stories upon stories. Like it would
Wow.
just be awesome to hang out.
Oh, that is way off the rails. I never saw you going there, but that's
Yeah,
awesome. That's
yeah.
incredible. Yeah. I wrote down a few things, and I mostly did it where I would actually be participating with him. Like I said,
Oh,
Michael Jordan doing one-on-one,
okay.
playing a little bit of hockey with Gretzky. I thought about playing golf, having a foursome with Tiger, with Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, some of the greats of all time. I thought, maybe we could actually even have guys like DeChambeau, where you're seeing him hitting 400 yards, John Daly, partying and hitting
Yeah,
400 yards, and Dustin Johnson, things like that. Maybe Wayne Gretzky would hang out with Dustin Johnson, be his caddy,
yeah,
things like that. Just how incredible it would be. I thought about many sports. I thought about MMA, who I would love to hang out with, and it was George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva, Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell, Rampage, Vanderlei Silva, Connor. I put those names down. I don't know, about actually participating because I'd probably get choked out just immediately or KO'd right away. But I thought about baseball, and I thought about Barry Bonds, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, Derek Jeter, Don Mattingly, Pete Rose, Reggie Jackson, and Judge and Ohtani. Rod Carew was another name I had on there. Tennis. Love to hit balls with McEnroe, Bjorn Borg, Jokic, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Jimmy Connors. Love to be able to go back and actually fight in the ring against Tyson, Holyfield, Lewis, Muhammad Ali. I think Muhammad Ali would be the number one guy I'd have at a dinner table, sitting
yeah,
down, hanging out, having a bite to eat. I think Ali would probably be the first guy I'd throw out the invite to.
yeah,
Uh, Michael Jordan, yes, just because of the sheer greatness that he achieved.
yeah.
Um, I yeah, I know that he would be a difficult guy to sort of break in through that
Oh,
outer
yeah,
shell that he has, and
yeah.
get him to warm up to you, but having him there, Wayne Gretzky, I just always have just so high regard for him because he was such a nice guy, but he was a killer on the ice. Setting 61 NHL records that still stand 25 years later. Just seeing him, just so many incredible moments, and I'm just so uh, really kind of jealous of Jake Paul being able to convince Mike Tyson out of coming out of retirement, fighting first time really in 20 something years, and being able to be in front of 60 million people. I'm fighting Mike Tyson, guys. Like, I'm actually fighting Mike Tyson here. This is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was. It was. It's pretty amazing that he even got it together like that. And then also too, more impressed at the fact that he did pay Mike what he was worth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
which
good.
I was very impressed by that.
Yeah, I heard rumors between 20 million and 40 million. I actually heard up to 40 million that Tyson might have made. So, pretty good for 16 minutes work, and
Mhm.
incredible that he was able to, get that kind of money again, and still move the needle on everything. They asked him what's next, and he said, I don't know, maybe Logan. And Logan's
Mhm.
like, I'd kick your ass, buddy. And nobody wants to see Tyson again. I think this dead and buries him for
Mhm.
boxing for the rest of time. But
Yeah,
Jake Paul called out Alex Pereira. That's who he wants to fight next. Can't see it happening because the UFC contracts, the way they
contracts
work. But
never.
Dana White, got into that boxing realm with Conor McGregor, uh, Floyd Mayweather, that really moved the needle, and he actually dabbled into it somehow. That would be something that the world would clamor for, especially if him and John Jones fight and he beats John Jones. Then it's kind of like, wow, this level. Jake Paul's been able to beat a lot of washed up MMA guys, but
Yeah,
a guy that's still on the top of his game doesn't seem realistic, but he's made crazy stuff happened. He could maybe make it happen.
Maybe, but ultimately, all of that, like anybody that he would call out in the UFC, it all depends on how Dana White would want to, like, if he even wants to approach it,
Yeah, of
right?
course. Yeah,
It's all very dependent upon that. And it
yeah,
seemed like, I don't know, it just kind of seems like to me that he did the thing with Connor, but that's the only guy that he'll do that for is
yeah.
Connor, which
Maybe, yeah.
is the weirdest thing, because it's
Strange.
just like, no, wait, why would you do, like, you're leaving money on the table.
Yeah,
Yeah, get some of the other guys in there. Then let
yeah,
them have a chance to make the money, and then also on the top as well, you enrich yourself and you enrich the UFC.
yeah. True. Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, getting into the thoughts of all this bucket list, and I just started thinking about a lot of things. I started thinking my bucket list for musicians, hanging out with them, playing
Yeah.
music with them, maybe TV shows, being able to hang out with the actors that I watched growing up. I thought of immediately Miami Vice, and
Oh, nice.
I'll never forget you showing up as Tubbs to my
Yeah,
birthday party, and kind of like I'm Don Johnson and you're you're him, and we
yeah,
we just could relive that. Imagine going down to Miami and being there while they were filming it, and
that
some of
would
the
be
cool
awesome.
things that you could go back in time and revisit. Hanging out at the Cosby Show. No, not the Cosby Show, but but hanging out with
Yeah,
Happy Days characters, the Fonz, how huge he was. So many iconic television shows, and sure be nice to go back in time. Jake Paul didn't have to go back in time to face Mike Tyson. He was able to do it now.
yeah, exactly. And plus, on top of that, let's be real here. Jake Paul actually went back in time and fought that Mike Tyson. Yeah, yeah. Very different results.
Very
Very
different,
different.
very, very, very different results. Yeah.
Yeah.
They also promoted Squid Game, which is a huge show on Netflix. They also promoted Cobra Kai. It's pretty cool seeing Ralph Macchio
Oh
sitting
yeah, yeah, yeah.
cage
It was
side.
cool.
Like you said, celebrities galore. There was just over and over and over. You were seeing celebrities in the crowd. It's wild when you put on these events. Either a UFC big event, like we'll talk about in a little bit about the UFC 309 at Madison Square, or a big event in Dallas like this. It's pretty hilarious. I saw a lot of people saying, Jake Paul has a home victory in Dallas Cowboy Stadium, and the Cowboys don't. you know, and
Yeah,
Jerry Jones was there with Michael Irvin. That was pretty wild seeing him sitting there boxing ringside, and talking about Michael Irvin. Rosie Perez being there was kind of bizarre.
yeah,
I thought the broadcast team did a pretty damn good job. I love seeing Ariel Helwani there. It was nice, Roy Jones Jr. Rosie Perez was a little strange, but
yeah,
seeing a lot of the great broadcasters, and they brought in fighters, Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield, even though he couldn't hear what was asked about him. I thought the broadcast went off pretty well.
yeah. The broadcast was good. I think the lead guy was Mauro Ronaldo, right?
Right,
And
exactly. Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's just that
From your
dude.
hometown.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm always impressed because like he's an encyclopedia of knowledge. Like
Incredible.
the stuff that he'll
Oh yeah.
just bring out, you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
really? Like it's
So much
everyone
preparation, that guy. Yeah, I don't
so
think
much.
anybody prepares harder than he does for the fight
Nope.
world. And yeah, he's probably the number one boxing guy now on the
Yep.
planet, and it's
Yep.
incredible what he's accomplished in his career.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah,
as he was the one that noticed right away that Tyson was biting his gloves.
yeah,
And then somebody was just like, oh, maybe his like mouthpiece. It's like, no, he
yeah.
just does that.
That's
Yeah,
a
like he
habit.
does that. He's been doing that throughout his career.
Yeah,
And he was absolutely right. Like he's
yeah.
just like, no. You don't really know
I'm
what you're talking
sticking
about.
with
I
it.
do.
I'm sorry. I respect you. I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
but he's
Oh,
done that a lot in his career. So yeah, yeah. Just
yeah.
bear with me. I know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I know what I'm talking
Exactly.
about.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it
yeah,
was very well done by him.
yeah,
Even like the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders were there too,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like it was just he's very good at making it into an event. That's for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he came into In the Air Tonight with Phil Collins, and it was kind of a dig at Tyson because Tyson sort of made that more famous during the Hangover movie. They were
Yes.
playing that when he came into the movie and then
Yeah.
KO'd Zach Galifianakis, and Jake Paul kind of did that as a dig.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I didn't notice that until you just said that. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
pretty wild. Okay, co-main event. I want to get on to other stuff, but co-main event, one of the greatest fights I've ever seen. Women, absolutely incredible. They just went toe to toe. These two girls have had, two fights in the ring, and it was absolutely incredible. But it was wrong decision. Katie Taylor didn't win that fight, in my opinion. Amanda Serrano did, and it was just another example how boxing f's this up too many times and has some incompetent judges in there. They screwed up the decision in my mind. I thought Serrano won. This should have been 1-1 and going for a trilogy, and it was too bad because it was an absolutely incredible back and forth war.
Yeah. Well, I did hear from my friend that he was just like, this is an incredible fight. Um, but that she got robbed. Now, did she get like? Was it a bad robbery? Was it a split decision?
It ended up being a split decision. Yeah, it ended up being a split decision. It did. Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess kind of okay, but not really, because like if it's a robbery like that, and it's unfortunate because boxing has done this so many times,
No,
so
sorry.
many
No,
times.
sorry. I did just notice it. It was a unanimous decision, but it
Ah,
was
that's all.
95-94, all three judges. But
Okay.
boxing is just notorious for doing crap like this. And
Yeah.
it just really, really, really pissed me off, upset a lot of the crowd. It just everyone, when they went to the judges and went into the center of the ring, everybody just figured for sure Serrano had done it.
Yeah.
Booze rained down big time because it was wrong.
Yeah.
It was wrong. And I don't know, if they're paid. I don't know how they got snowed this way, but it was absolutely a robbery, and it's super frustrating. And after an amazing fight like that, you should just be talking about how incredible it was and how much you want to see them again and how you can't believe how much they put into it. But all we're talking about is Jesus Christ. That was wrong. That was a
Yeah.
robbery, and something needs to be done to stop this from happening. Or I turned away from boxing for years because of crap like this, and so have other millions of other people. And this was a fight that we should be talking about till the end of time as one of the greatest things to ever see. And it's not because of this.
Yeah. And that sucks. That
Yeah.
sucks. It just paints a stain on the whole event. It
Oh
really does.
man. Yeah, very, very frustrating. There was a lot of awesome fights on the card. The first fight of the night was another YouTuber influencer against the top number one fighter out of India, and he knew that this YouTuber guy was just crappy, so he just danced around, clowned it up, beat him pretty heavily. Which this guy, his name is Wenderson Nunes, should never fight ever again in that kind of type of scenario. He came in, he was 0-1, he's 0-2, and he shouldn't have been in there. They should have had somebody that was a little more competent. Great fights on the card. There was belts handed out, and a lot of good things. I didn't love how long it went. It was pretty ridiculous. It said it was going to start at 5, and so I'm thinking, okay, 4 fights on the card. We're talking
Yeah.
maybe 3 hours, maybe 3 hours, but it went
Yeah.
almost 5 for the main card. I had already watched the prelims for 2.5 hours, and now I'm watching for another 5 for 4 fights. Like, that was wrong.
Yeah. That's too long.
Yeah.
That's too long. That's
Yeah.
just it's far too long. You can condense the show, you can make it tighter and just have the fights as one after another.
Yeah. I can't wait to talk about the UFC coming up pretty soon with this, but I do want to jump into a few other things that happened over the weekend. We've got NFL Week 11. We got the NBA just started their Emirates Cup, the NBA Cup, and a lot of amazing games. Really given a playoff atmosphere right off the bat. It's incredible. NHL, we had college football, we had PGA golf, we had F1, we had some tennis, and we had we had the Grey Cup. Okay, so let's just talk about the Grey Cup briefly. Um, Huge event here locally. Things going on all week. Absolutely incredible. It's been 10 years since the Grey Cup was here in our city, and there's only 9 teams in the league. So I guess maybe it'll be 9 more years until it comes back again. But Vancouver embraced it well. It gets embraced a bit better in the prairies, in these smaller markets where it becomes the only thing that's going on. But pretty great to see. An amazing performance. We almost sold it out. Definitely BC's in it. It's 100% sold out. But most stadiums in the CFL do not have the same capacity as BC Place has. BC Place has 54,000 plus. It was about 52,000 or so in the stadium there for the Grey Cup. But all in all, incredible, great week. Really, really fun event as always. Nice to see Canada come together for such a big sporting event. And we had a big upset. Winnipeg Blue Bombers have been the dominant team in the CFL for the past 5 seasons. They've been in, I think they've been in 5 Grey Cups in a row, and they lost the last 2 in the last seconds. Heartbreaking fashion. Terrible. Gave it up right at the very end. But this game was it was close at halftime, and then the Toronto Argonauts ended up blowing them out really in the second half. The final was 41-24. This was the 111th Grey Cup. I think we're up to Super Bowl 57, 58, something like that. Yeah. So 111 Grey Cups. That's incredible that it's been going that long, has that much of a storied history. There's a lot of things to break down in the game, but I do want to say that it was incredible to see that the quarterback matchup that was supposed to so heavily favor Winnipeg ended up favoring Toronto, because the backup quarterback, Nick Arbuckle, comes in, replaces Chad Kelly. And Chad Kelly, I don't know if you know, but he's the nephew of Jim Kelly, Buffalo Bills, longtime quarterback.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, and Chad Kelly is definitely one of the best quarterbacks in CFL history. Nick Arbuckle comes in, hadn't started the game all season long, almost had given up on the game because he was just a perennial backup so many years after years, cut from a bunch of teams, traded, and Nick Arbuckle comes in, first start of the season in the Grey Cup, and he wins MVP, has a fantastic performance, ends up being able to surpass Zach Collaros, who was a candidate for MVP this year, and the best quarterback in the CFL. And incredible that this guy was able to come in and shock the world and get the victory. When he wasn't supposed to, he really wasn't supposed to be the man.
Which is awesome. Like it's such a great story. Like when things of that nature happen, because that reminds me of, what was it? It was the Eagles versus the Patriots when Nick Folk came in and was the hero.
Yeah, took over for Carson Wentz and won the Super Bowl for them. Yeah, and incredible for him. The top Canadian was Dijon Brissett. He was the wide receiver for the Argos. He had the winning touchdown. He only had 3 catches for 45 yards, but that was the most amount of yards out of any receiver. They spread the ball out to tons of receivers, had a good running game going too. The incredible thing is Dijon is the brother of O'Shea, and O'Shea won the NBA championship with the Boston Celtics this past year. So they both got hardware, they both got trophies, and it's incredible. These 2 guys out of Ontario are able to go into these leagues end up reaching the top of the mountain and becoming champions.
Yeah, the pinnacle, man. And
Yeah.
it's amazing that the family has two of them that are champions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they gave the award top Canadian to Dijon Brissett. He gets a bunch of, I think he gets a car, he gets a trip, and he gets a nice trophy and a lot of things. Toronto is now 8-0 against Winnipeg in Grey Cup games over the entire history. So that is absolutely mind blowing. They really won this game also with their defense. They got 4 interceptions on Zach Collaros. Winton McManus, Benji Franklin, Deshaun Amos, and Robert Priester all had picks. I felt sorry for Collaros because he was injured early in the game with his hand. He had to go back to the locker room. They stitched up the cut that he had on his hand. They put a glove onto it to protect it, and his coach said after the game that he couldn't feel the grip on the ball. He couldn't feel the ball. He wasn't able to properly grip it. It probably led to some of those interceptions and eventually the loss of the Bombers.
Yeah. And, for a quarterback, if you can't feel the ball, like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, because now you don't have confidence in where it's going to go.
Yeah. Huge. Incredible. Yeah. The running game for Bombers was supposed to be the biggest X factor for them and really help them win this game. The most outstanding player of the whole entire year was their running back, Brady Oliveira. He had a pretty damn good game. He only had 11 carries, but he had 84 yards and a touchdown, 2 catches for 18 yards, so over 100 scrimmage yards. But so many of those drives were stalled by those picks and then ended up turning the factor into the Argos winning, and it's incredible. They've Zach Collaros is now he's been in the Grey Cup 6 times. He's now 3-3 in his Grey Cups. He has 3 championships. Was pretty wild and pretty incredible. But yeah, tough that he received that injury and could not really hold the ball, couldn't grip the ball. The last thing I want to talk about was the halftime show was the Jonas Brothers. Huge coup for the Grey Cup committee to be able to convince them to come and be that halftime show. I think it was very, very smart of the CFL to do that, trying to attract a lot of the younger crowd. The kids on the field looked like they were having the time of their life. They also had every cheerleader from every team across the CFL there dancing and performing, and they put on a really, really incredibly good show. I couldn't count myself as a fan, but I do like some of their songs, and I think they played all the best songs out of their repertoire and were really, really good. The sound is never good in BC Place, but it actually came off really well, and I think it was a big, big win.
Yeah, it's a big win. Big win for everybody involved. Big win for the Jonas Brothers because they put on a great show.
Yeah.
Put on a great show.
Very cool. I was happy and impressed with them, and hopefully CFL committee learns from that and puts on some big things. Prince Harry was there as well, promoting his Invictus Games, which happened in Whistler in February. That got a lot of attention. Quite a few stars were there as well, and it went off well. I'm glad we had it here in Vancouver, and I think everyone should be proud that it went very well. Friday night after the boxing fight, I had already purchased tickets for a comedy show. It was our anniversary. So I booked it at 10:30 at night, thinking, oh, plenty of time. We'll be able to go for dinner, be able to have some fun, and then we'll be able to go to the comedy show. When the Tyson fight finally ended, I had to just race down there and get in. Sat down, and the first joke out of the host's mouth was, hey, what do you think about the elder abuse that we just witnessed with Jake Paul beating up Mike Tyson? So he was just watching it right before as well as I was, and I thought that was pretty hilarious and poignant moment that even a comedian getting ready for a night of comedy, trying to learn the names of all the guys that are coming up, all the jokes that he has to do, he's still watching the Tyson fight right before.
Yeah, exactly. Still current, and then and also too, like the rest of us, he was interested in seeing how is this going to look,
How's it going to turn out? Yeah.
how it's going to turn out.
Yeah. I'm wearing my shirt that I got for my anniversary, so I hope everyone
Oh,
loves it. I sure do. It's pretty sharp and snazzy and
very nice.
damn nice. Yeah. So we had a nice anniversary and it was good to get out. Had a lot of laughs. The funny thing about the whole entire night is it's hard to remember jokes after you leave a comedy show and you're trying to, reminisce about it. And at one point, all of a sudden you hear this and uh, and everyone sort of turned their attention to where the sound came from. And the guy said, "Hey, what was that? Somebody have a bell here?" And he thought somebody was twinkling a bell and either telling him to get off or someone bring me food or drinks or something. What the heck is that? And then he finally figured out who it was and he just cornered the guy. "Hey, what was that?" And he goes, "Oh, that was my key that fell onto the ground." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "Are you sure that was a key? That sure sounded like a bell to me." And the guy goes, "Yeah, this was it." And he pulls out his key, and it was like a fob kind of a thing. And he goes, and he drops it on the ground, and it just makes this crazy thud sound, just like no twinkling, no bell sound, and it was just like thud. And everybody looks over and goes, "What the hell?" And he goes, "No, man, you got a bell on you. I know you got a bell. You're so rich that you use a bell every time you need anything, that you want anything." And he's like, "Come on, show the bell." And the rest of the night, every comedian was like, "Hey, where's the bell? Can somebody put the bell off? I want to see the bell. I want to hear the bell." But when he was going after the guy in the early stages, everyone was in tears, laughing so hard. It
Yeah,
was just hilarious moment that was totally unscripted, not figured
yeah.
out before, just suddenly randomly happened, and it ended up being the funniest part of the whole night.
That's always some of the best stuff, the improv stuff where they just
Yeah,
kind of go off the cuff, and especially if they're a really good comedian,
yeah.
man, it's funny. It's
Yeah,
funny.
no, it was awesome. Yeah, he was very, very with it, very good. Had a lot of very funny quips and put it together. So it was great. Okay, so I do want to pop into the NBA and talk a little bit about the NBA. As I mentioned a little earlier, the Emirates Cup started this past Tuesday. We had games Tuesday and Friday, and they'll be continuing again this week off for the next few weeks. The knockout rounds go December 10th and 11th, semifinal in Vegas the 14th, and the final the 17th. The game so far in that NBA Cup is that Golden State game against Dallas, and that was a playoff game. That was what you're going to see. The intensity was one of my favorite regular season games I've seen in my lifetime, and I can't believe how great it turned out. It was awesome to watch. Steph Curry ended up finally pulling out the night and closing out the game just as he did in the Olympics, just as he's done in 4 titles and many times in his lifetime. And this was a regular season game in mid-November, and it had that much intensity. This is proof that Adam Silver and the NBA brass that have put together this cup, it's working.
It is working. It absolutely is working. Like the fact that we're getting almost playoff style games because of the NBA Cup, that's what makes it worth it.
Yeah.
Right away, just right off the bat, that's what makes it worth it. And then there were so many other games that went into overtime and such as well. It's been a revelation
Yeah.
having the NBA Cup and instituting it the way he has.
I'm amazed. I think the NHL should follow suit. I think other sports should do this kind of stuff. Soccer has always done this kind of stuff, and soccer is the number one sport in the world, has been for our lifetimes and probably will continue to be for the next 20, 30, 40 years. But I'm amazed that it has really, in the second year already, really just amped up this much because I didn't think a lot of guys would really actually care. Like it's a $500,000 and I've already, making 30, 40, 50, $60 million. And
Yeah.
that's not going to move the needle for me. It's a regular season game. What, do I care that I won. Lakers won last year, and barely were a great team at all. But somehow, some way, this becomes something that they really want to play for, and they want to win.
Yeah, yeah. Like at the end of the day, these guys are ultimate competitors,
Yeah.
and there's pride, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I just love the fact that there's buy-in from the players
Yeah, I
first and
love it
foremost.
too. The
Yeah,
courts are cool. I
that's
had some
cool.
people text me saying, "Hey, I didn't know the Warriors changed their court." And I'm like, "Well, this is just actually for this cup.
Yeah,
That's all. They're doing the painting of the floor for these cup games, and that's it." And they're like, "Really? Wow, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of change." And I'm like, "Yeah, but they're trying to make it important and signify a difference between a regular game and a cup game."
exactly. And then that's the main point of it, is
Yeah.
to signify the difference between the cup games and a regular season game, because let's be honest, it's kind of hard to know exactly what the groups are, like what teams are in which group, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
What makes it easy is if the court's different, then it's an NBA Cup game.
Yeah.
You know that it'll be different. So,
Yeah, and that's smart. That's very smart thinking. Because I don't know if I would have thought of that. I don't know. Mid-season tournament, you paint the floor the same way in every building that and all of a sudden you're like, oh, how else are we going to distinguish it? And somebody else, very smart guy or committee ended up figuring that out. It's great. I had an awesome time watching NBA this past week. There was some incredible games, incredible performances. It was just awesome, and I really think that this cup has actually rejuvenated it for me too. I just not seeing the slog of 82 games. These things, some of the matchups, some of the things that they're doing. I love these back-to-backs that they're doing. I love that these teams are playing these groups against each other, and you start making more rivalries. A lot of things are pretty damn awesome. I do want to get into a little bit of the standings because it's pretty incredible what the Cleveland Cavaliers are doing in the NBA East. They have started the season 15-0. Any team that started the season 15-0 or better have all made the NBA Finals. They have tied the second longest streak to start a season ever with the 93-94 Rockets, who ended up making the final and winning it. And the Washington Capitals in 48-49 had 15 games. The gold standard is the Golden State Warriors, who won in 2015. They won their first 24 games en route to a 73-9 record. They made the finals, but lost that 3-1 lead against Cleveland and ended up losing the finals. But Cleveland is firing all cylinders, have those four cornerstones, and have really assembled a team that can actually compete for this NBA title that we kind of started thinking maybe Boston was going to be able to sign off on for the next 3-4 years.
yeah, exactly. And that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Because the Cavaliers are real. And I love what Chucky Atkinson has brought to the team.
Yeah.
And he's changed up their offensive philosophy somewhat, so that to give Mobley more free reign with the basketball. Yeah. It's paid off beautifully.
Yeah, incredibly. I'm absolutely blown away by what they're doing, and it's been fun to watch. Okay, speaking about Boston, they sit second in the conference, still having a great start out of the gate. They are 11-3, 3.5 games back, but it's early. The game that they played against Toronto over the weekend was incredible. They ended up having to go into overtime and utilizing a Jason Tatum buzzer beater in overtime to win 126-123. Tatum had a chance in regulation time and threw up a brick, and they had to play that extra 5 minutes to win. The Raptors' best performance of the season by far. It was incredible. I feel heartbroken for them because they really deserved the win from everything that they put forward. It was an amazing performance, but Boston just had that one extra shot, ended up winning the game and breaking the Toronto fans' hearts.
Yeah, broke their hearts, but at least they were competitive. At least they made it to overtime.
Yeah.
But you know what? Celtics are really good, and they got a better team.
Yeah,
Period.
they do. Yeah, true enough. In that game, RJ Barrett ended up getting a triple double. It was the first time a Canadian playing for the Toronto Raptors was able to get a triple double. So a historic moment. He had 25 points, 15 assists, and 10 rebounds. Absolutely incredible performance. And one of the reasons why the Raptors traded away OG Anunoby to get RJ, and hopefully RJ, in the absence of Scotty Barnes and trying to take this team far, he's able to put up these type of performances. They are the worst team in the NBA right now, 2-13 record, but absolutely incredible what RJ did.
Yes, absolutely. Like he's one of their cornerstones, and they're going to have to lean on him to win some more games.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sorry, 2-12, not 2-13. I don't want to give them another loss that they haven't suffered already. Okay, so we talked about Cleveland, we talked about Boston. Guess what? They play each other this week. They play tomorrow, 4 o'clock Pacific in Boston. That should be incredible. If the Cavs can win that, then they can push this undefeated record, probably 2 or 3 more, because they're playing some pretty easy teams coming up. But then they do have a rematch next Sunday, December 1st in Cleveland. So not this coming Sunday, but the following Sunday, they play again. So 2 times in about a week, a little over a week period. Pretty awesome that we're going to get to see the beasts of the East face each other. And this will be an NBA Cup game as well. So it might be one of those games that we saw Golden State Dallas. It might be that intense and, really wanted to prove who is the best right now.
Absolutely. You know that it's going to be like that. It's going to be playoff intensity. Thank you for letting me know, because I'm definitely going to be tuning in to watch that game. Oh, yeah.
Incredible. Should be super fun. As we mentioned last week, there was only Cleveland and Boston were the only 2 teams above 500. 2 more teams have joined them now. Orlando's now 8-6, beating Philly on Friday quite handily, and they are 2-0 in their NBA Cup games. They also beat Charlotte Tuesday, and man, their defense, Orlando's defense, is no friggin' joke. Absolutely incredible. They held Philly to 86 on Friday and Charlotte to 89 on Tuesday, and they're holding tons of their opponents under 100 points. If you do that, you're winning in the NBA these days. And Franz Wagner ended up getting the Player of the Week for the East, 3-0 record, 30.7 points average, 7.3 assists, and 7.3 rebounds and 5.7 assists for Franz Wagner, who's really in stepping up so much in Paolo Banchero's absence and really taking the team on his back. And Orlando is, doing great, on a really good roll right now, looking like one of those teams in the East that can compete up near the top of the conference.
Yeah, definitely. They're looking like that. Their defense is, as you said, amazing, especially when it comes to Jalen Suggs, who's just a dog on a bone. Like he will never give up on his defensive assignment. Never.
Love
like,
it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. The other team that's just above 500 is the Knicks. They're 7-6. They are 2-0 in their NBA Cup so far. They beat Brooklyn yesterday, 114-104, and then they beat them also Friday. They had a back-to-back against them just by 2 points on 124-122 on Friday. The Knicks play the Wizards this afternoon. It tipped off pretty recently, and should be interesting to see how the Knicks keep going at it. The Detroit Pistons sit at number 5 in the East. Very surprising. Most teams, or most pundits, had them near the bottom of the conference, still struggling and still rebuilding. 7-8, 2-0 in the NBA Cup. They beat the Heat on Tuesday, which was huge, and then they beat the Raptors on Friday. They host the Bulls today, this afternoon. Pretty wild seeing the Pistons up there.
No, it is very wild to see the Pistons up there, and the fact that they're so much better than all the other teams in the East right now.
Yeah.
They're just so much better. Like, it's surprising. I'm very surprised.
There are 4 very disappointing teams coming up in the rest of the standings here. Indiana 6-7, Atlanta 6-8, Miami 5-7, and Charlotte 5-8. all of those teams were not expected to be this bad this early.
No. You definitely didn't see that coming. Or actually, I think a bigger surprise would be the Bucks
Yeah. Oh,
at
I was
four
about to
and
say
at
absolutely
four and
the
nine.
most disappointing team in
Yeah.
the basketball world, 4-9,
Yeah.
and somehow Doc Rivers still has a job, and it's incredible what's going on there. 12th in the East and on pace for 27 wins this season. That's ridiculous.
That is utterly ridiculous, especially when you have one of the best players in the league on your team.
Yeah.
You can't have that. You can't have that happen.
Giannis is leading the league in points per game at 32.3. Anthony Davis having a really great season so far, 31.1. There are three players that are tied for third with points per most points per game. Jason Tatum, Jokic, and LaMelo Ball all have 29.7 points per game, all tied for third. And De'Aaron Fox falls in right behind them at 28.9 points per game. That's a career best for De'Aaron. De'Aaron just went nuts this past week. He got 109 points in 2 games, 60 on Friday, 49 yesterday, and is just on fire. He was named the NBA Player of the Week for the West. They absolutely just handed him the ball and said, go. And the thing that I'm noticing difference with him is that he's driving the ball so much more. He's actually driving it into the lane. He's not settling for jump shots. He's not settling for 3-pointers. He is driving the ball, and it's getting him to the line. It's getting him a lot of buckets, and he's on friggin' fire right now. I got some stats to give you in a second here, but holy cow, De'Aaron Fox, his speed is almost impossible to stop, and when he's this dialed in, look out. He can light up anybody.
And also on top of that, I want to say that he's really been working on his jump shot. It looks a lot smoother than what it used to earlier in his career.
Nice.
And yeah, 60-point effort. I watched that game. Absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, they didn't get the win, but he was amazing.
He was amazing, yeah. So 109 points in a 2-day span. There's only two other players in NBA history who've got that. Kobe Bryant had that in 2007, and Wilt Chamberlain had that 15 times in his career. 15 times. There's only two guys in the world that have had done it once, and he's done it 15 times. So he was in a class by himself, but pretty wild. This sets franchise records for De'Aaron for the Kings, and really wild to see do so. He is actually the first ever player to have 105 plus points and 15 assists in 2-game stretch like that. Wilt Chamberlain did not pass the ball, so he didn't have those assists. De'Aaron has 1 year left on his contract after this year. It's $37 million. He was eligible for a contract extension in the past offseason, and he opted to not sign it yet. He wanted to wait until the end of this season to do it, and it's pretty brilliant moves on his part because what he's doing. And now, if he becomes an All-NBA player, he will be eligible for a 5-year, $345 million Supermax contract. So bet on himself, he did, and it's paying off, I think, big time.
Oh man, like the money is it's just getting so ridiculous. Like, gee, okay, so 5 years at 345. Like, how much is that a year? Like, I'm struggling to do the math here. Like, what is that?
Yeah,
70 million? No, 60?
I'll have
65?
I'll do it quick. I'll do it quick
Okay.
while you're
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're talking
because
there. Yeah.
like it's first off, very smart of him to leverage the fact that it's like, no, I think I'm gonna have a great
69
year.
million. 69
69.
million. Yeah.
69 million. Like, super smart for him to say, no. How about I don't sign that? Well, we'll just see how the year plays out. I'm sure the team's like, oh man, we're gonna be paying a lot of money. We'll be paying a lot of money. And then and it looks like they definitely will be paying him a lot of money.
Big time. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
pretty wild. Mind blowing what they're doing there. Okay, so Sacramento was 4-0 on, or no, they were sorry, they were only 2-2 on the week, but he scored an average of over 40 points a game, 4.5 rebounds and 7.5 assists. Incredible week for him, and way to go. They're down in the standings, but look out, they could do a really big run here. In the West, the top team is Golden State. They are leading 10-2 record. They've won 2 straight NBA Cup games. They beat the Grizzlies and the Mavs and the Thunder this past week. And the crazy thing about the Warriors this year is how deep Steve Kerr is going into the bench. He's using 12 players on a nightly basis, and the minutes that his veterans are only playing is really low, and it's going to help keep them healthy, help keep them fresh, and help them when they make the playoffs. They might be able to go on another run. It's incredible. Yesterday's game, Draymond was the top minutes guy with 30 minutes. Pajemski only played 28, and Steph only played 26, and they still got the win. It's very smart of Steve Kerr what he's doing and being able to keep the old guys fresh.
Exactly. Super smart. And then having the realization to know that I got a deep bench and I got a lot of great players for this particular squad. So
their next game's tonight against the Clippers. Should be fun to watch in LA, all on all the broadcast networks. So it's going to be definitely after we're done here. I'm watching that. The Oklahoma City Thunder are second in the West, 11-3. They lost to the Mavs yesterday, 121-19, even without Luka. So that was kind of strange. Shea contributed 36 and Williams got 27, but surprising that Dallas was able to still pull out a win here. Next game for OKC is against the Spurs tomorrow. Yeah, they're having a great start to the year. I was just surprised that they lost to Dallas without Luka.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising that they did lose, but I think they're still down their big men because obviously Chet got injured, and I think Hartenstein is still out with an injury, but he's due to come back soon.
True. Yeah, I think they're going to miss Chet quite a bit for sure until Isaiah comes back. Yeah. The Rockets, you said it off the when we did the NBA preview, I kind of left the Rockets down the list a bit, and you said, "Hey, no, don't sleep on the Rockets. I think that this is a team that's going to do something pretty great this year." And you're right. They're 10-4 out of the gate. They've won 4 in a row. They just absolutely smoked Chicago yesterday, 143-107. Fred VanVleet had a fantastic game, 28, 7 and 7, and Sangoon had a triple-double, 20, 11 and 11. They are looking fantastic. Just one game in the NBA Cup so far, 1-0, and they play Milwaukee today, so they should get another win there. It should be pretty easy. And James Harden, on the weekend, he passed Ray Allen for the second most three-pointers in NBA history. He now has 2,975 three-pointers. Steph Curry still leads the way with 3,782. They both came in at the same draft class, same year. Both of them have severely overshot the expectations that people had for them and become, two of the greatest shooters of all time. James Harden said, "No, I'm number one. Steph doesn't count. You can't count him. He's an alien. He's different. I'm number one. Nobody. Steph's just in another league. So I think I'm number one."
Yeah, you know what? He's right to a point because Steph is definitely an anomaly. He's an anomaly.
Yeah, true enough. Exactly. Okay, let's just blast through the rest. The Lakers sit at the 4 seed, 9-4. They've won 5 in a row and really looking very, very good. And it's not just LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They've finally gotten Dalton Knecht to really, really play incredible. AD and LeBron both said this weekend that they think when they pass the ball to Dalton that it's going in. It's automatic. Don't even have to even look back at it. They just feel that every time he shoots the ball, he's going to score. Must be nice for a rookie to be able to already get the confidence level in your two vets to that level. It's incredible and pretty wild. And so they got this three-prong monster that's looking very, very solid.
Which is awesome. You got a three-pronged monster that's looking solid, and also too, you have a coach that's holding everybody accountable,
Yeah.
and responsible. Because I think he actually had to bench D'Angelo Russell because he was missing too many defensive assignments, and I think that's great. I think that's great. I think that's great what JJ's been doing, and I love the flow of their offense. I love how it looks. There's always off-ball action, constant movement. It's a beautiful thing to see, man.
Yeah. The other thing that came out of the Lakers camp was that they are going to have a Pat Riley statue unveiled this year in front of the Lakers facility. And let's hope it's not as ugly as Dwayne Wade's, but it's pretty amazing. I think this is their 8th statue that they have out front of their arena now, and pretty wild. But Pat won 6 championships there. He won 1 as a player, 1 as an assistant coach, and 4 as a head coach, and goes down as one of the most influential guys there, biggest figures. And a lot of people that only tuned into basketball in the last few years really think of him as the Miami guy. But before that, he was Showtime and that Lakers guy, and really put the Lakers, in the lexicon, on the map, as they say. Really, really was super one of the driving forces to get that team to the popularity and the success that they've had.
Yeah, absolutely. He was one of the driving forces, and he had so much success with the team and with the organization. So, yeah, he's very much deserving of having a statue. And let's hope it looks like him, and it just looks nice and classy.
Yeah,
like Pat Riley is.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, that would suck if it turned out as bad as Wade's. That would be brutal.
Yeah.
The Suns are down in 5th. No KD, no Beal. They've lost 3 in a row. Booker's doing a lot, but they're just in injury hell right now. I don't know. Yeah, until they get those guys back, they're in trouble. They're going to start free falling down this Western Conference.
Yep, absolutely. I totally agree with you on that until the guys come back and they're healthy.
A one-man show in the NBA doesn't work. And you called it last week. You said Denver can't be doing this, can't be the one-man show. Jokic actually didn't play last 2 games this past weekend. And I guess he's a little banged up because they were just relying on him way, way, way too much. Jamal Murray is dropping the ball. Nobody else is stepping up and helping this team. And this is rough there. They can't risk the health of Jokic with nobody else being able to contribute and be that second or third banana.
Yeah, no, man. Like they need somebody else to step up. They need, actually, what they do need is Jamal Murray to become Jamal Murray again. And I don't know what happened to him. Like it just seems like his game has fallen off completely.
He's only scored 14.5 points the last couple games average, and he was at UFC 309 on Saturday, and he got a lot of criticism for it because he seems to be just having fun more than actually trying to get in there and do things with his job. He was incognito, but people could recognize him. He was trying to actually ask for an autograph from Kamaru Usman, I think it was. And people caught him. It went on social media, became viral. Now he's in a bit of shit for not having his priorities straight, trying to help this Nuggets team win some games and be the man while Jokic is out.
Here's the thing. What do you think? You think you're just gonna be like, nobody's gonna recognize you? Like, come on, like, give me a break.
No.
Like you're on TV.
No.
People are gonna find out. They're gonna find out about what you're doing. So I don't know. I guess was it worth it? I don't, probably not.
No.
Probably not.
No. There's 4 teams that are 8-6. No, sorry, 3 teams that are 8-6. T-Wolves, Grizzlies, Kings. T-Wolves had a really great performance from Randall yesterday. He hit a buzzer beater, 35 points, and a really incredible performance to get Minnesota the win. The Grizzlies are being led by Jaren Jackson now that John Morant is out. Jaren Jackson has been just phenomenal since he's been thrust into the #1 spot there. And the Kings, as I mentioned, De'Aaron Fox. Wow, that guy is just incredible. The two teams that are pretty damn disappointing down in the Western Conference are the Mavs and the Clips, both 7-7. I don't know what the hell's wrong with both of them, but we'll break that down, I'm sure, as the season wears on. Okay, I need to talk about the NHL briefly. The NHL Winnipeg Jets, we talked about being that lead team and just absolutely kicking ass. 15-1 out of the gate, winning 15 of the first 16. They've hit a little speed bump. They lost over the weekend twice. They were shut out 5-0 by Florida, and then they played the Florida rivals, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they lost 4-1 there. Not a good trip into Florida, but luckily, Florida now travels to Winnipeg. They play them tomorrow night, and I think Winnipeg will be fired up to try to show them that the defending Cup champions got a run for their money as the current league champions.
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely going to be fired up. Like, sometimes you hit the speed bump, but you got to try to figure it out and get back onto the winning track for sure. Just give me a second. There's just going to, it seemed like I disconnected my computer for a second, so I'm just going to reconnect it real quick.
Good. Okay, I'll keep talking here. In the NHL West, we've got Minnesota sitting at number 2, 11-3. Vegas number 3 at 11-5-2. They've lost to the Capitals yesterday when Alex Ovechkin ended up getting a hat trick. LA Kings are 4th at 10-6-3. Dallas 5th, 11-5. The Canucks sit at number 6, 9-5-3. They played Saturday. They were able to beat Chicago 4-1, and Connor Bedard's first game ever in his hometown. And then they lost yesterday 5-3 to the Predators. Canucks, for some reason, are playing quite well on the road, playing pretty poorly at home. The two teams they played this weekend were the two worst teams in the NHL, and they struggled a bit against Chicago, finally getting a couple empty net goals at the end and winning. And then they lost to Nashville, who was going in the worst team in the NHL coming in. Looks like Tocchet ended up apologizing to the Canuck fans after their loss against New York Islanders this past week on Thursday. And you thought that he was going to blister the paint in the dressing room and really call out the guys and make them put forward a better effort. I didn't see it much on this weekend and was pretty disappointed. Unfortunately, JT Miller seems to be a bit of the whipping boy because he was benched on yesterday's game, and Tocchet was asked, was it an injury? And he said, nope. I just was putting players out there that I thought could help me win. And so it's tough. JT Miller is that guy that's really the leader on this team, the vocal leader, the guy on the ice that's the leader. And you just always see an amazing effort from him. I saw some not really inspired play in the last few games from him. And Tocchet obviously saw it too and sat him down. Let's hope it fires him up and doesn't cause a rift between coach and one of the best players they got.
Yeah. Like you definitely don't want to see a rift between the best player and the coach, because that sucks. That can break apart a locker room and everything else. So hopefully Tocchet got the message across to him. I'm going to need you to be better, and hopefully he is better.
Yeah, let's hope so. Yeah. The Canucks have allowed 5 or more goals in 5 of their 10 home games this year. Not very good. Pettersson is finally starting to really score. He had a tough start to the year, had a tough finish to last year. He scored 5 goals in the last 7 games. Seems to be really on the top of his game now, and that's a very, very good turn of events. And the other good turn of events is that Thatcher Demko is finally practicing full-time with the Canucks, and it's days, not weeks anymore. They think he will play a game this coming week, And it'd be so nice to finally get our Vesna possible guy back in the net, get the number one guy, and get totally healthy. Brock Besser is still in concussion protocol, but I think he will be playing later on this week too. And it'll be nice to fully get all the complement back. Dakota Joshua back from his cancer treatments, and this team is needing their full complement of guys.
Yeah, yeah. And once they get those full complement of guys, like I think, look out, NHL. Those guys are going to start climbing the standings again.
The Canucks welcome in the Rangers tomorrow night, which should be awesome. The Rangers are JT Miller's first team, the team that drafted him, brought him into the NHL. Hopefully he gets back into the lineup and has an opportunity to prove himself. Guys always love playing against teams that gave up on them, and it'll be pretty great to see him do that. One of the other big stories in the NHL was from a game this weekend. The Oilers played the Leafs on Saturday. Toronto ended up winning 4-3 in overtime. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl both had a goal and an assist each, but nobody else is helping out and contributing much to this team. So they need to get some more guys going. Ryan Reeves ended up deciding to try to spark the team a little bit, and he ended up running Darnell Nurse into the corner. He ended up hitting him in the face with his shoulder, concussed him, bloodied him, and knocked him out of the game. He got a match penalty, kicked out of the game, and the word came down today. He's getting a 5-game suspension for it. So yeah, it was over the line, just like we talked about last week when the Predators' John T ended up taking out Besser. Nurse is hurt, and Reeves will be sitting for 5 games. It's a big loss for both teams.
Yeah, big loss for both teams, but sounds like that's definitely the right call because you got to get those hits out of the game.
Yeah,
got to get them out of the game.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Yeah, it was
Dirty.
It was dirty, and it was as bad as anything I saw in the UFC or boxing over the weekend. Like, it was rough. Like, he KO'd big time. It was really a bad hit.
Okay, so once he got KO'd, then obviously was it a full scrum, full on fight? Like everybody was fighting immediately?
No, amazingly enough, it wasn't, which was very weird. Yeah.
No, dude. No, yeah. I'm sorry.
He's a massive guy, so maybe they were afraid of him, but nobody dropped the gloves to knock him out. He was just immediately escorted to the penalty box. Then they called the major, and then he was sent out of the game, and that was it. Nobody got any chance for retribution there.
Well, I guess that next game when those guys play against each other next.
Yeah. Tough, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a report today, and I don't know how accurate it is, but supposedly Nurse will be out 5 to 10 days. Brock Besser is still not back. Gianti only got a 3-game suspension. Brock's already missed at least 4 games and possibly some more. So I've always thought that that suspension should go to as long as you took the guy out.
You know what? That's a great idea. Because it should be like that. Because if I'm going to miss one of my top guys on my team, then you don't get your guy back until my guy comes back.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah,
that's fair.
Huge news today that the NHL salary cap is expected to grow by $7 to $9 million for next season. It's only been growing like 1 or 2 million for the past year since COVID and all the money they lost during the COVID times. And this was really big news for the NHL. A lot more guys going to make a lot more money. A lot more general managers will have money to play. I think it's going to open up trades. It's going to open up big contracts, and it's going to really help the game a lot. 7 to 9 million is the biggest boost we've seen in at least half a dozen years, maybe even ever.
Yeah, no, that's huge. That's massive, and that's great to see. That means that the game it's growing. It's going in a positive direction.
I saw this amazing pie chart that was sent to me this past weekend, and it showed how different the sports are in North America, the 4 major team sports, how much different they are. The NFL in 2023 had $18.7 billion in revenue, and they got 66% of that from their national TV media, and uh, uh, um, only about another 1% from the local TV media. So 66% of theirs was there. 27% were from ticket sales. No, not 27, 17, sorry, 17%. So 66 from national TV media, 17% for ticket sales. On the other end of the scale is the NHL, and the NHL has from their national TV media only 19% and 44% of their revenues from ticket sales. So a
Wow.
big difference between the two sports.
Yeah.
They're at about $8 billion revenue in this past year. So baseball's got 31% from ticket sales and 23% from no, and 49% from media. Basketball has 41% from national media, 13% from local media, and 26% from ticket sales. So interesting pie chart. I'm going to send it to you, Jason. It's really
Yes,
cool to
please.
see the difference and how wild it is. I said when the pandemic hit that the NFL was going to be the league that could survive the easiest, because not one fan could go and they still make money because they have massive television contracts. The NBA is getting there. Baseball, I'm sure, is going to get there. Hockey is starting to get there from their media, but they're still very a ticket-driven league. Just like we said last week, how Winnipeg was struggling, not getting their building sold out, and that was costing them a lot of money because they're not bringing in revenue from a lot of other sources. Those tickets, but the ticket sales are the ones that really driving all the revenue coming in.
Yeah, and so like if you're not selling out the hockey arenas and stuff like that, then it's then you're at a severe disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because that's where most of your revenue is coming from.
And think of the difference also, compare the Canadian dollar compared to the American dollar. So, an American team's bringing in a full house. They're getting about 25 to 30% more every
Yeah.
single night than a Canadian team, as if they're selling their full house.
Exactly. And yeah, that's just the exchange rate difference, and American teams are at an advantage when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Okay. Alex Ovechkin scored a hat trick yesterday. He's finally looking like he's in shape. He listened to you. He watched this podcast, and he got hit the gym. He stopped eating all the crappy food, and he's actually in shape. And he's chasing down Wayne Gretzky. He only sits 32 shy of tying Wayne Gretzky for the most goals of all time. He's got 866. Wayne finished with 894. Ovi is tied for the league lead in goals with 13. He's on pace for 62. He hasn't led the league in goals since early 2022. So this was great to see him really taking this serious and turning this around. It was his 31st career hat trick, and he's starting to climb towards the league leaders in so many categories. But he has a really legitimate shot to passing this Wayne Gretzky ultimate record that almost everybody thought it was unreachable and untouchable. He's taken it seriously, as I said.
Which is great to see. Is great to see, because like he has the talent to do it. I just question whether he had the drive to do it.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's got it now.
You saw him live, I think it was last year, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like the catcher for the Blue Jays. Remember when you went to the Jays Mariners game and you're like, that guy's a player? That guy, he looks like a fire hydrant. What the hell, right? And that's how Ovechkin started looking, and it started looking like, no, he's eating himself, he's lazing himself right out of the league, and he's not going to pass this. But he went in this offseason, and he's really put on a good regiment and figured it out, and it's paying off dividends. And it looks like he'll be able to do it this year.
Which is awesome, because like I think everybody wants to see this happen, because like, okay, so once you pass Wayne, I don't think anybody's going to be passing you.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, Sidney Crosby is 1 goal away from 600. They came in same year. And
Yeah.
Sydney's guaranteed Hall of Famer. Yeah,
Oh,
going to be one of the greatest ever, and he's 267 goals behind him, and they came
yeah.
in the same season.
Which is that's ridiculous when you really think about that. Like that's how many more goals that I've scored. And Sid's awesome. He's a
Yeah,
really good
Sid's
player.
amazing. Yeah, yeah, Sid's amazing. As I said, it was his 31st career hat trick. He's now sixth in all time. Wayne leads the league in hat tricks with 50. Mary Lemieux had 40. Mike Bossy had 39. My favorite guy of all time. Brett Hull 33. Phil Esposito 32. And Ovechkin has a game against Utah tonight, so should be pretty fun to watch. I'm sure, yeah, that watch is going to be going every year, all year. We're going to talk about Ovechkin so much this year. Okay, before we get to NFL football, I just want to mention college football. Great weekend as always. A lot of amazing games. Oregon still leads the way, number 1. Ohio State, number 2. Texas 3. Penn State 4, and Indiana 5. Indiana and Ohio State play this weekend, number 2 against number 5. That's 9 a.m. Pacific. That should be incredibly massive game. Indiana, toughest test by far. Ohio State's 9-1, Indiana 10-0. Should be a really great game. I'm gonna record it, watch it for sure Saturday morning.
Yeah, that's the biggest game for upcoming, right?
Yeah.
By far and away. Yeah, yeah. That's gonna be a great game. Great game.
Okay, I do want to mention really the biggest game this past weekend was Georgia against Tennessee. Georgia ended up beating Tennessee 31-17. Georgia's now number 8. Tennessee's fallen to number 10. Carson Beck, their quarterback, had a phenomenal game. 347 passing yards, a couple touchdown passes, 3 rushes for 32 yards, and another rushing touchdown, trying to get himself into that conversation about the Heisman. We'll see. There's a couple guys that are far and away the favorites, but we'll see there. Speaking of one of the favorites, Boise State is number 12. They're 9-1. They beat SJSU 42-21. Gianti had 32 carries, 159 yards, and 3 touchdowns. A 2-yarder, a 5-yarder, and a 36-yarder. And holy cow, is he looking awesome? I think he's still behind, but he's really, really, really trying to get that Heisman.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, he's been amazing. He's their workhorse, and he's incredibly durable, obviously. And like it's definitely the Heisman's between him and Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter,
One
yeah.
and two. Yeah, 1 and 2.
I do want to talk about Travis. Colorado, they crushed Utah 49-24. They're 8-2 now, and they're number 16 in the nation. Travis Hunter is a Heisman favorite. He had 5 catches for 55 yards. He had 1 run for 5 yards, which was a touchdown. He had an interception and 3 tackles, and he does it all. And he played almost every snap in the entire game. It's incredible what he's doing, and he is the leading candidate now, the betting favorite to win the Heisman.
Yeah, yeah, like it kind of makes a lot of sense. He plays on both sides of the ball. Like he plays the entire game. Like his stamina, his endurance is just next level.
Yeah,
it's next level.
It's incredible what Dion's done to this program and all the things that this team is doing. His son Shadur Sanders had 340 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, and oh my God, he is just having a phenomenal year. And so many guys are having incredible stats. They just rolled up stat after stat after stat. I could have just kept going down the list of all the guys that contributed to them. Incredible performance for them. Sticking with football, let's talk about week 11 in the NFL. We started with the NFC East as always, and we had a great matchup on the Thursday nighter between the 8-2 Eagles against the 7-3 Commanders. I guess it was 7-2 Eagles against the 7-3 Commanders. Now the Eagles with the 26-18 win improved to 8-2, have a 1.5 game lead over the Commanders at 7-4. Philly scored 23 straight points in the second half to win. Um, Saquon Barkley was the difference in this one, as usual. 146 yards on the ground with a couple of touchdowns. And yeah, this game bothered me because it just seemed like the Eagles were supposed to just blow them out, and Jake Elliott just kept missing field goals. I don't know why they kept giving the ball to him. They should have just kept giving it to Barkley, even on fourth down, and getting more, more drives going. And he missed two field goals and an extra point. Made this game a lot closer than it really should have been.
Yeah.
Commanders did make a very glorious opportunity to almost pull this out, but good the Eagles finally were able to dispatch them and get the win.
Yeah, yeah, definitely good that the Eagles did that. The rushing attack was pretty much unstoppable because Saquon was just amazing, absolutely amazing, with 2 touchdowns on the ground and another 2 receptions for 52 yards. Like, yeah, he was everything that the Eagles needed to beat the Commanders.
Yeah, the Eagles are really good defensively and offensively. AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, Gainwell, looking great. Um, Daniels had a little bit of an off night, still pretty good, but wasn't his dominant self that he's been most of the year. Good performances from their running backs. Eckler had 8 catches for 89 yards. Only got a couple carries on the ground, but Brian Robinson was the guy that got the carries, and he was able to contribute well as well. Got a touchdown. They the Commanders will be hosting their division, not really rivals, but their division foes, the Cowboys, coming up this coming Sunday. Philly heads to the Rams, and that's the Sunday nighter. Should be a great game there. Okay, so we got Philly up top, 8-2. Washington 7-4 in second. Dallas in third at 3-6. And the Giants sit in the basement at 2-8. They have a bye. They had a bye this past weekend. Nobody cares though. Nobody wants to see him. And they decided to bench Daniel Jones today. Tommy Cutlets will be coming in again. Tommy DeVito will be their starting quarterback moving forward. I sent you something this past week and it blew my mind. The Kansas City Chiefs have won 2 Super Bowls in the time that it's been since Daniel Jones has had 2 passing touchdowns in one game.
What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Oh,
he hasn't thrown a
Wow.
2 passing touchdowns in one game since before this dynasty, before the past 2 Super Bowl wins by KC. So brutal.
Brutal.
It's a wonder that took this long, but they signed him to this 4-year, $160 million deal, and they didn't have much of a choice.
Yeah.
He had to play, and Daboll's finally like, I might lose my job if I keep playing this friggin' guy. I think it's time to look at Cutlets again and bring
Yeah.
him back in, who became a viral sensation and a big hero last year when he played.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy stat, I thought.
No, it's absolutely it's insane because when you look at that stat, you're like, how is he still your starter? like literally, it's like, how is he still starting then? Like, what's going on here?
Brutal.
Yeah.
Okay, Cowboys, as I said, 3-6, horrible year, absolutely brutal. They host the Texans tonight, their state rival. Should be probably a win by Texas. Cowboys just look horrible this year. Nico Collins is finally coming back for the Texans. They are 4-1 with him in the lineup, 2-3 without. It gives CJ Stroud a lot of weaponry that he sorely lacks and needs. There's just so many stats that show how important he is, and I think it will be interesting to see what moves forward. The only thing I don't want to look because I'm recording it. I want to watch it after, and yeah, we're already into it. A piece of metal fell from the roof tonight and landed on the field, and it would have killed somebody if they were underneath it. Some other debris came down. when they were trying to open it before the game, pre-game, they were going to have a lot of guys going up there and figuring out what the hell's going on. They might not have been able to open it tonight. They wanted to. And I don't know if the game had any delays because of it, but pretty crazy happenings that happened this afternoon.
They are so lucky that nobody got injured from that.
Mhm.
Like that's such a big deal because now the question is it stable? Like
Yeah.
if we're playing the game, is nothing else is gonna fall because it can't. That can't happen.
No. No, imagine it falls down and kills a guy, a football player on the field, or a fan, or anybody.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah.
cow,
Anybody.
Jesus! They had the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson thing in there on the weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe somehow it just got disrupted, but pretty crazy and bizarre. We'll see how it turns out tonight. But yeah, Houston not having a terrific start, but I think they're better than Dallas, so we should see them get the win.
Yeah, no, totally agree with you on that. They're definitely the better team this year.
Okay. Let's turn to the NFC West. This is a crazy division. We've got the Cardinals who had a bye this weekend, and they've got a 1 game lead on the other 3 teams in the division. The Rams, the 49ers, and the Seahawks are all 5-5, with the Cardinals 6-4. Pretty wild division, and really unsure who's going to emerge from it. It'll be interesting to see over the second half of the year what happens. The Rams got a great 28-22 victory over the Patriots. Patriots fall to 3-8. Rams, as I said, 5-5. The Rams just needed Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua to
Yeah.
come back and be the weapons. They've provided 70% of the offense for this game. They were the big difference, and it's great for Matthew Stafford to have his weapons back. This team could win the division with these 2 guys in the fold.
Stafford was 295 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 of them to Nakua and Cup. Cup had 2 touchdowns. Nakua had 1 touchdown. Like as soon as those 2 guys come back, that's a different team.
Yeah.
Period. Like it's just a different team altogether. I was impressed with Drake May. He actually had a very good game with 282 yards and 2 touchdowns himself. 30 for 40. Like it's looking like that's their quarterback for the future.
Oh, that was a great draft pick by the Patriots. He's definitely going to be the guy. He looks like he's a real deal, and as long as they can start getting some protection, get some more weapons, get some better D there, this team, the sky's the limit with Drake May. I think, yeah, he's a legit good rookie quarterback to come in, and they've made a wise investment in him. I love seeing his touchdown to Vidarian Lane, 6'5", 315-pound offensive tackle, had the touchdown. Love seeing big guys get that opportunity, and you're hoping that they got the hands to pull it in, but Drake May just put a perfect little
Yeah.
spiral into his hands so he could get the glory.
Yeah, no, it's always good to see the big men get their chance there and then do their touchdown celebration.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, the Rams are looking great. They got so many weapons, and this should be interesting. As I said just before, the Rams host the Eagles. That's the Sunday nighter. That'll be a phenomenal game, I think. And the Patriots go to the Dolphins, play their division rival. That's in the early morning on Sunday. Okay, this was an NFC West divisional battle between the 49ers and the Seahawks, and the Seahawks were able to get the better of them, 20-17. Both teams 5-5. Geno Smith was able to score a 13-yard touchdown run with only 12 seconds left to give Seahawks the come-from-behind win. Nick Bosa was knocked out of this game, and Seahawks weren't doing anything with him in there. They scored their last 2 touchdowns with Bosa
when he
out,
was gone.
and it really seemed to flip the script, change the complexion of this game, and Seahawks utilized Geno for the most part, also Jackson Smith and Jigba, and got the very, very, very important win here.
Yeah, got the big win. Jackson Smith and Jigba was great, 10 receptions, 110 yards, and but I was just impressed with Geno Smith in that last minute drive.
Yeah.
To drive down the field, get that touchdown, get the win. Very impressive. Do we know what happened to Nick Bosa? What his injury was?
No, actually, no, I don't think
Then
I've
they
heard
didn't
it.
come out. Like I was
No,
kind of waiting for them to say something about it, but I never
I
heard. So
never
I was
heard. Yeah,
wondering if you did.
no.
Yeah.
What's
Hopefully he's not
wrong
out
with
for
this?
too
What's
long.
wrong with this Niners team? They were supposed to
But
actually be the top of the NFC. They were supposed to be going back to the Super Bowl and winning it all this time. They had all the weapons they needed. They just couldn't get it done against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl this past year. But what's wrong? They're 5-5 and struggling. Really, I don't think anybody saw them where they sit right now in with this 5-5 record.
no. I think it was like there was a couple things that happened. Like it was first one was the Williams holdout, right? Like the Trent Williams doing that. And then also too, all of a sudden CMC, Christian McCaffrey, can't play because he's injured,
Yeah,
right?
missed
And
part
then
of
it
the
just it's
season.
just the little stuff, but it all adds up. And then the fact that they've lost Ayuk, one
Yeah,
of their best receivers, right? But at the same time, Jennings has definitely stepped up
sure
and
has.
he's
Yeah.
been a go-to guy.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of give and take. And then you know what? The NFC West is just incredibly tough to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough division. Pretty wild how it's shaping up. Just yeah, a one game difference between all four teams. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Seahawks, they will be Seahawks will be playing the Rams coming up. That's Sunday 125. The 49ers go to Green Bay, play the Packers Sunday afternoon game. Okay, NFC North. Three teams actually have really emerged out of the NFC North. Lions sit at 9-1, Vikings 8-2, Packers 7-3, and the Bears have fallen down to last at 4-6. Lions had a laugher. 7 possessions, 7 touchdowns, 52-6 win over the Jaguars. I thought today we were going to hear Doug Peterson is walking the plank. He might still. They are into a bye this week, and they're going to just have to break it down to the studs. This team is in serious trouble, and the Lions just devoured them, ate every part of them, and spit out their kneecaps and their bones, and easily just crushed them. Absolute slobber knocker. And yeah, this game was laugher right from the start.
It was a slaughter. They slaughtered them. They
Yeah.
just like lambs to the slaughter. Goff was amazing. 24 of 29, 412 yards, 4 touchdowns. His favorite receiver was Amon St. Brown, who was absolutely all world. 11 receptions, 161 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then it's just like everybody scored a touchdown. You get a touchdown. You
Yeah.
get a touchdown.
Yeah.
You get a touchdown.
I know.
Yeah.
Writing down some of these stats today,
Oh, yeah.
I think it was partly yesterday. Oh my God! Like Jamison Williams, 124 yards and a touchdown. David Montgomery, 2 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs scored touchdowns. Oh my God! Brock Wright. 8 players had at least one carry. 9 players had at least one catch. You don't see a team going 9 deep in the running back area and 8 deep in the running back area, 9 deep in the passing game. Oh my God. Yeah, this was awesome performance from them. Big trouble in Jaguar land. Everyone's calling now for Doug Peterson's head. I was calling for it a few weeks back when they were over in London there for a couple of games, and this
Yep.
one won't help him keep his job long term. They also were dealt a huge blow today. Gabe Davis was told that he will be out for the season with a torn meniscus in his knee. And Trevor Lawrence is still not back. Mac Jones is not the answer, and they just have terrible defense, terrible offense. Just nothing's working there in Jacksonville.
Terrible team. Terrible.
Yeah, yeah. As I said, Jags have a bye this week, and they need it big time. Lions head to Indy to play the Colts, and that's Sunday in the early window. Okay, the Vikings sit second in the North at 8-2. Had a pretty easy game against the Titans. They won 23-13. This was Uh, Sam Darnold really coming back from a bad game last week. He was good, throwing it for a couple of touchdowns and running for one himself. Good ground attack there and good defense. Couple sacks had a couple sacks each from Ginkle and Patrick Jones. Big pick from Harrison Smith, and Will Levis had an okay game, but really, those yards that he has for throwing were 98 yards to Nick Westbrook Akine for the one touchdown he had. So a little bit inflated there, and not much in the Titans. The Vikings got a fairly easy one.
Fairly easy win. Because like I was looking at the Titans team and I'm like, I think the best thing about the Titans is their kicker.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Automatic.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sad if that's the best thing about your team is your kicker.
Yeah. Well, at any team that gives up on AJ Brown, Derrick Henry, and DeAndre Hopkins all in the span of about a year, I don't think they deserve any good luck, any good things to happen. Three of the most dynamic players in the NFL, and you're throwing them away. It's just dumb, and they deserve what they're getting.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you on that because like those players are all of those players you mentioned, very good players still.
Yeah.
Really good.
The Vikings head to the Bears, play Sunday. That's always a good battle between the NFC North rivals, and the Titans travel to Houston, same time, early window Sunday. Okay, the last team in the NFC North, actually, last two teams played against each other, the Packers and the Bears. Packers were able to pull out a 20-19 win. Everyone's calling for Doug Peterson's head. Also, everyone's calling for Matt Eberflus's head, and I pin a lot of the blame on him for this loss. They had the opportunity to march it down a lot closer to kick a potential winning field goal. They blew it with improper clock management. They ended up having to try to attempt a 46-yard field goal by Cairo Santos, which was blocked, and Green Bay ends up pulling out the win. Eberflus is an idiot. I can't believe how much of an idiot he is, and I don't know why they have him there. They thought it was going to be Shane Waldron last week, so they fired him. But Eberflus blew it again, and you got to feel bad for the Chicago team that they're fairly decent, got a lot of pieces, but their coach keeps screwing it up, and they fall to 4-6 in very big trouble about missing the playoffs. Packers now 7-3. Good win for them, but really, I don't think they deserved it. I think Chicago should have won this game.
Yeah, Chicago should have won this game. Like if they had proper clock management at the end of the game, they would have won this game. But yep, they didn't do that. So the best receiver for the Packers though was by far Watson with 4 receptions, 150 yards. He had a huge game. Massive.
Yeah. Oh, he was great, amazing. Jordan Love was good, and this team has a lot of really good pieces. Top tackler was Xavier McKinney again. I talk about him every week. That guy is an amazing player and a huge acquisition. Bears have lost 4 straight now under Eberflus. He's got to go. Caleb Williams, okay game. He's that dual threat guy. I just don't think him and his team are going to gel because Chicago is just a wasteland. It's another team that's just kind of a joke, like Cleveland was forever, Jets are now, Jags and Titans. There's a lot of teams that are just kind of a joke, and Chicago just sort of seems like that to me.
Yeah, because I think what they need is a better head coach.
Yeah.
If they have the right head coach, I think the Bears are going to be a very, very different team.
Yeah. As I said, Bears host the Vikings Sunday early. Packers host the 49ers, and that's in the afternoon. That's always great to see the Packers and the 49ers. They've had so much good history over the years. Okay, NFC South now. Falcons. Your Falcons are leading division, game and a half pretty easily ahead of the Bucks, Saints, and Panthers, but they got crapped on. They got shit kicked.
Right.
And the Broncos just beat up on them bad. Bo Nix had probably his career best game, leading the Broncos to a 38-6 blowout win over the Falcons. Both teams are now 6-5, but Denver really, yeah, just blew the doors off of them. Denver's third in the AFC West with 6-5 record. Falcons are number one by far in the South. It's kind of weird how the divisions are so different. But Bo Nix, what a game! 300 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and everyone seemed to rack up yards and get a lot of really good stats for the Broncos. And what happened to the Falcons? What happened here?
Yeah, the Falcons just couldn't get on track. Period. They just could never get things rolling. They couldn't get on track. Their defense let them down, and the Broncos just rolled right over them. Just rolled them.
Yeah. We had a Michael Penix sighting. He looked pretty good in his limited action, but Kirk Cousins, yeah, has been great this year, but yeah, struggled in this game. Bijan Robinson really shut down in this game. First time I've seen this all year. Young Wei Koo didn't miss field goal, got both field goals, so that's great to see. But yeah, I'm concerned about the Falcons. How concerned are you?
A bit, because like at one point in time, I believe like I don't know, man. Like I want to see them try to fix what's broken here, fix some of these problems. I want to see Robinson rush the ball more, or at least get the ball in his hands more often than not.
Yeah.
Like if he's not running the ball, then pass him the ball. You know what I mean? Because like he's such a weapon. But yeah, the Falcons have. This has been one of their better seasons in the last couple of years. Yeah. Because as I've told you before, once they lost to the Patriots in that Super Bowl, the organization's really never literally been the same.
Yeah,
never literally been the
yeah,
same.
it's imploded there, and you know what I want, I want them to lose this division lead. I want them to sink down to the bottom. I want them to hire Deion Sanders and draft Shedeur, and all of a sudden return this team back to the glory days of the Sanders, and that would be perfect in my opinion.
That would be awesome. That would be like literally awesome. That would be that'd be so cool. Yeah. It's not going to happen because the Falcons, but that would be cool.
Deion would love to return there. He lived in Atlanta, played with both teams there, baseball and football, and now that Shedeur's jumping from college ranks into the NFL, Deion doesn't need to be back in college anymore. Time to hit the NFL again and get the real money, the real glory, and it's a no-brainer in my opinion. Howard Blank, sign a blank check, bring in the Sanders, both of them.
No, you know what? The possibility of that happening is very real, because especially since Deion has already put it out there that he's going to ensure that his son and his adopted son, Travis Hunter, they go to good places where they need to be, and he can trust the organization, because he's warning them. He's warning some of those organizations like the Carolina Panthers. Don't bother. Don't even try.
Yeah.
Like he's literally saying that now.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Good for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad's sticking up for his kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. The Falcons have a much needed bye, and they next host the Chargers. The Broncos go to Vegas and play the Raiders. So, but a lot of rumors Raiders are really interested in Shedeur, and that's the place where he might end up.
By the way, with that, what you just said right there, that would make a lot of sense, because Tom Brady, who's now part owner.
Yeah.
Guess who he trains on the side?
He's a mentor and a trainer of him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense too, for sure. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the Saints. They improved to 4-7 with the 35-14 win over the Browns. Browns are 2-8. This was the Taysom Hill game. Oh my God. He played quarterback, running back, receiver, kick returner, and I looked. I thought he must have played defense too. I don't know. He might have. I didn't see any stats, but Oh my God, the guy had a hell of a game.
Yeah.
Oh man, he had 7 carries, 138 yards on the ground, and 3 touchdowns. He had 8 catches for 50 yards, threw a couple passes for 18 yards, and had a kick return for 42 yards. Like, whoa, this guy had a game. Man, this is Travis Hunter in the pros.
Yeah.
And holy cow. Awesome to see a guy can contribute in that many areas, that many positions, and just go off and be the reason why they won this game.
He's the ultimate Swiss Army knife. He literally is. He's the ultimate Swiss Army knife. 7 carries, 138 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Like, yeah, the Saints need him in the lineup for them to be good.
Yeah.
Period. They
Yeah.
need him in there because he does so much for their offense. So much.
Derek Carr was good. 250 yards passing with a couple touchdowns. Alvin Kamara, about 100 yards. Marquez Valdez-Scantling had a good game with another touchdown. And yeah, this team rolled up on them. Winston had a really terrific game with almost 400 yards passing and a couple of touchdowns. Jerry Jeudy went off with 142 yards in the air and a touchdown too, but not enough. Dustin Hopkins, their kicker, 0-2 from on field goals, and um, yeah, the only blemish on Taysom Hill's entire day was he threw a pick. He only threw 2 passes. He had one pass for 18 yards. The other pass was a pick, but yeah, can't throw any shade on Taysom Hill. What a game. Saints have a bye. He can get some more rest. They play the Rams on December 1st, next Sunday. And the Browns host the Steelers, and that's the Thursday nighter this week, which should be really good. There was a lot of division battles this weekend, and there was a lot of battles that we really wanted to see. We always love the Bills and the Chiefs. This is the feature game of the weekend, in my opinion. The undefeated Chiefs come in 9-0. The Bills came in 8-2, and they've had a ton of battles. Buffalo's always won in the regular season. Chiefs have always won in the playoffs, and
Yeah.
so I was shifting my thought to the Bills being able to pull this win off. They did so. Josh Allen was one of the biggest reasons why they got the 30-21 win. Bills are now top of the East, easily 9-2. Dolphins sit 4-6. Jets and Patriots both 3-8. Chiefs got their first loss actually in 15 games, going back to the playoffs and last season. But Josh Allen, wow, threw the team on his back, and that one touchdown run that he had near the end of the game was just really incredible and just showed how much of a beast he is, and one of the reasons why he should always be getting consideration for MVP of the league, and being such a massive guy, impossible to bring down.
Impossible to bring down. He has the speed, has the size, has the power, and also too, just that quarterback savviness. Like, he knew that all his receivers were covered, and so when he broke away from the pocket, he ran. I was just like, oh man, that's a lot of daylight. That's a ton of daylight. Like, he's impressive.
Yeah.
Impressive play.
He's lost a lot of weapons there, but he just keeps being able to chug along. Khalil Shakir leads the league with yards after the catch, and the Chiefs have sort of struggled with that, haven't been able to get the tackles on the receivers as well. Had a great game, but Keon Clark is out. They lost Stephon Diggs, and they just keep putting in pieces into place and getting wins. Their defense was really good. Terrell Bernard and Taylor Rapp both picked off Patrick Mahomes once each. Mahomes had just an okay day. 200 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, but those 2 picks were really key and crucial to giving them their first loss. Travis Kelce was totally shut out. Absolutely nothing. Two catches for 8 yards. Their big tight end was Noah Gray. He only had 23 yards through the air, but a couple of touchdowns. But yeah, Chiefs, a minor setback. Still the top team in the AFC, but Bills are knocking on the door.
Yep, Bills are knocking on the door. This was a great game, and you knew the Chiefs were going to have to lose a game somewhere along the line here, but this one, I was marking this on the calendar. It's like if they're going to give up a game, this would probably be it.
I saw Larry Zonka and a buddy of his
Yes,
tipping the champagne back with the Dolphins, still being that only undefeated team all the way through the Super Bowl. So Bills will have to wait another year to get that record. Bills have Chiefs will have to wait another year to get that record. Bills have a bye. Chiefs head to the Panthers Sunday. Should be an easy win to get to 10-1. Okay, also sticking with the AFC East, let's talk about the Dolphins, who sit in second place. Dolphins had a 34-19 win over the Raiders. Tua is back and is utilizing his weapons quite well. Had almost 300 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Jonnu Smith had a couple touchdowns. Tyreek Hill had one. And Achane had a rushing touchdown. Jalen Ramsey was huge on the defense. 5 tackles with a pick. And Raiders just don't have enough weapons except for rookie Brock Bowers, who had a fantastic game. 13 catches, another touchdown, and yeah, he's a beast and he's a force.
He's a beast. He's a force. He's going to be one of the best tight ends, or is it? No, he's going to be one of the best tight ends in the NFL.
Yeah.
But it's just great to see Tua back, playing well, and then the Dolphins are just a better team.
Yeah, it's so great that he's come back from this concussion. I actually haven't heard the word concussion around him for the past couple of weeks, so it's really nice to see. Raiders host the Broncos Sunday, late window. Dolphins host the Patriots early window. Okay, the dumbest quarterback in the NFL was put back in after 2 games benching. Anthony Richardson is back, and man, he was good. He was really good, had a fantastic game. He was able to surpass the Jets when he scored his 2nd rushing touchdown of the game with only 46 seconds left, giving them a 28-27 victory. The Jets are so brutal, so bad. It's unbelievable. By their first 5 possessions, they didn't get a first down. And first 5 possessions, they couldn't even get the ball. Grandpa Rogers there, he looks horrible. It's time to hang him up, buddy. I just don't think it's gonna help you with your legacy, sticking around looking this bad. But yeah, it's bad in Jetstown. I think some fans are wishing Zach Wilson was back there now instead of Aaron Rodgers. Oh my God, it's bad there.
Yeah, no, it's horrible because like I think their record is somewhat worse compared to Wilson's season last season.
Yeah.
So it's just like, what is happening? What is happening? But great win by the Colts.
Yeah.
Great win by Richardson, especially on that last minute drive to seal the win.
Yeah. He's gonna blow this because he's dumb, but hopefully he'll be able to get some smarts and help this team. But yeah, right. Jets have a bye. They need it big time. Their next game is not till December 1st against the Seahawks. Colts host the Lions early window. We're down to the last 2 games. AFC West. Chiefs are leading 9-1. Chargers are sitting second at 7-3. Broncos 6-5 or third, and the Raiders have fallen back to last at 2-8. Chargers got a very big win the last night, the Sunday nighter, a 34-27 win to improve to 7-3. Bengals fall to 4-7. The Chargers, for the last maybe their entire history, have always blown these games, and I thought they were going to do it again. They had a huge lead in the first half. Came out in the second half, looked like they were going to easily handle this. Joe Burrow was able to march them down and got another touchdown, another touchdown, another touchdown. Uh-oh. I thought, oh my friggin' God. Chargers had the ball last 2 minutes, did nothing, had to kick the ball away. Joe Burrow got the ball, and the Chargers defense held him to a 3-and-out, got the ball back. Finally, Herbert engineers this great drive to pull out the win. They get the 34-27 victory, a 29-yard touchdown run to pull it out. J.K. Dobbins, 18 seconds left, and get the win. Oh, I was just like, oh, they're gonna blow it, they're gonna blow it, they're gonna blow it. Oh, okay, they always do this, and they won finally. Maybe Harbaugh's turned the page, put the history in the past for real, and not letting these demons come up again. And Herbert was great. The team needs Harbaugh. Brandon Staley was the biggest idiot around. Glad they got rid of him, brought in Harbaugh. This team might actually legitimately compete for a great playoff spot and a possibility of a Super Bowl in the next, in the not too distant future. Man, this usually ends bad, and it didn't for once.
No, it didn't end badly because you have Jim Harbaugh as your head coach, number one. Number two thing I want to mention is that if Staley was still the head coach of this team is not 7-3.
No, not a
They're
chance.
not, that's not even close.
No, not a
Like
chance.
real.
Yeah.
It's not even close. Like, and that's the difference that Harbaugh brings to this team. Where like a game like this, where they could have potentially have lost this game, not going to lose this game.
Yeah.
I felt pretty confident, to be honest with you. I felt pretty good about it.
I came close to wearing my Chargers jersey today because I was so friggin' happy. That was such a great capper for the day. You know, it looked like, oh, we got this. That first half was just, okay, we're a better team. We got this. And then, all of a sudden, Burrow started playing well. Burrow played great, 356 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Higgins had a phenomenal game. Jamar Chase did as well with another couple touchdowns. Canadian Chase Brown was great on the ground and through the air. And oh man, this team is good. They had McPherson though, who missed 2 field goals in that fourth quarter that were massive. They would have won this game if he hits one of those. And those were just bad hooks, really fast and quick. And yeah, I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's not that reliable guy that they had for a few seasons there. Yeah, that was a really crucial. Those were crucial misses by him, and definitely led to this loss.
Yeah, no, crucial misses. It was unfortunate for the Bengals because, especially with the fact that Burrow's actually having an excellent season.
Yeah,
he's having a great season. It just the record's not reflecting it though. So.
No. When the Chargers gave up on Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Austin Eckler and on and on and on, I was like ready yeah, I told you this is it. I'm saying that's it. They're done. And you know, bringing in Harbaugh, drafting Joe Alt, who's protected Herbert like crazy.
That guy's awesome.
Just the guys that they brought in on the offensive line, on the defensive line, have really just contributed. They don't have a massive amount of weapons on offense, but they're just winning. They're just winning these games that they need to, and a 7-3 record. You know, I can see the playoffs in this future in the future for this team, and I'm really happy that I didn't give up on them 100%.
No, I definitely see the playoffs in the future for this team and many more to come. And it's like they just have enough. Yeah. But also too, they have ultimate faith in their quarterback, who's one of the best in the league.
Oh man, when he's on, he's amazing. Yeah, he's just so great to watch, and he is just incredible. The Chargers host the Ravens. That's the Monday nighter 1 week from tonight. That'll be a hell of a game. Can't wait for that. Bengals have a bye, so they get a week off. They're in serious trouble for making the playoffs now at 4-7. It's too bad because Joe Burrow and they got a lot of great weapons there. That's a fun team, but 4-7, they're in serious jeopardy of missing out. They are in the AFC North. They are third in the division now. The Steelers are leading the division. The Ravens are second at 7-4. Bengals third and Browns last. This was a great battle at the top of the AFC North between the Steelers and the Ravens. They've had the last 6 games between these two teams. Neither team has scored 20 points or more. And so this is an incredible divisional, old school, brutal battle all the time. It comes down to the defenses almost all the time. And the Steelers utilize 6 field goals I've got his name sitting here.
Coswell or something like that.
Yeah, Brian Boswell.
Coswell, I think. Coswell.
I think it's Boswell.
Okay, Boswell. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, you're right. It is Boswell.
And he ended up being the reason why they won. 6 field goals from him, 32 yards, 52 yards, 32 yards, 57 yards, and a 27 yarder. Oh no, the 50 yarder at the end with 3:35 left was the difference. Russell Wilson was good, but wasn't able to punch in a lot of these drives, but they had such great defense that was enough. They were able to hold the Ravens down to 16 points, 18-16 win. Ravens made a big mistake at the end of that game, though, with the play call for the 2-point conversion that was supposed to tie this up. They just handed the ball to Lamar and just said, "You run it in." Didn't have any misdirection. Didn't have any other options for him. Didn't have a receiver in the end zone for him to throw to if he got covered. It was just stupid, dumb, bad mistake. Harbaugh usually doesn't make mistakes like that, but this one was a screw up and led to their loss.
Yeah, that was a bad play call. Like even as I was watching it go down, I go, "What kind of play is this?" Like, it was just, it didn't really make any sense to me whatsoever. I did want to give Boswell his flowers though, because what he did was amazing, with the mere fact that he outkicked the Hall of Fame kicker Justin Tucker.
Yeah. Tucker struggled. Tucker
He
wasn't
struggled.
good. He was only 1 for 3 in his field goals. He made a 54 yarder, but he missed a 47 and he missed a 50. And
Yeah.
those could have been the difference there too. Derrick Henry was good, but unfortunately he got his first fumble in 538 carries. He got hit on by Nick Herbig, forced the fumble, and that was a big crucial play as well, shutting down a drive that the Ravens had.
Yeah, no, that was a huge play by the defensive player there, and we're not used to seeing Henry fumble. Period.
No.
So with him doing that, it's just great play by the defense.
As I mentioned, the Ravens play the Chargers Monday, 1 week from tonight, and the Steelers holds the Browns, and that's the Thursday game. And the AFC South, we've covered all the games. The Texans sit first at 6-4. Colts are 5-6. Titans are 2-8, and the Jags have a bye this week, 2-9. Texans play the Cowboys, as I mentioned earlier. The Colts host the Lions Sunday, and the Titans and the Texans play the following Sunday coming up. Jags have a bye. Okay, so that is the NFL story. Now we're just going to cover UFC 309. This is the 11th visit of the UFC to Madison Square Garden, the Mecca. They last were there, UFC 295, November in 2023. That was supposed to be Stipe and John Jones fighting in that one. John Jones tore his pec muscle, had to have surgery. They had to postpone it to this Saturday. It was the GOAT of the all-time against the heavyweight GOAT, and we were sort of in the same way, a little bit convinced that Stipe could still do it. And we thought Mike Tyson could still do it. Stipe didn't look as old as Tyson because he's only 42, but he looked old. He looked like he couldn't do it. John Jones looked spectacular. John Jones, you always wondered if he got up to 250 pounds, could he still have that same kind of fighting style? Could he still do those spinning kicks? Could he still be that dynamic? And he was. The kicks that he kept landing to Stipe's stomach, to his side of his body, ended up being the difference in the end. And the kick that he gave him to the ribs that brought him down was the deciding factor. But he was doing a lot of that throughout the fight that was really rendering Stipe defenseless, useless, and really showed John Jones still has it and is still dynamic, defending his belt and being only one of 4 fighters to defend a belt in a second weight class that he's the champion in. And just still proving that he is the GOAT. And Stipe said, "Okay, I realize that. I'm retiring. I'm done. See you later. Got my last payday. Thanks a lot. Goodbye." And I'm done. But John Jones was awesome.
He made it look easy, to be honest with you. Like, as I'm watching the fight, I'm just like, he feels comfortable doing whatever he wants in there.
Yeah.
And he's not worried about what was coming back at him with strikes or anything. He
No.
had Stipe guessing that entire fight.
Yeah.
I think Stipe was frustrated and confused. He was just like, I don't really know what's coming at me
Yeah.
because everything was coming at him.
Yeah.
And I think it was very poignant for how he said, I'm done. Right? Like Stipe was just like, okay, that guy was like, he is one of the best ever.
Yeah.
And I don't have it anymore. I think he really realized that at the end of that fight, because I think he was just like, yeah, I'm over this. Moving on with the next section of my life.
Yeah. John Jones didn't look in incredible shape. I thought he would have. He actually looked like he had a bit of a belly on him. He was trying to put on that weight. But at 37, he doesn't look 37. He looked still really dynamic. Really, one of the best performances I've seen on him against a very big, tough guy. And, everything that he was throwing, knees, he was throwing kicks, he was throwing punches, everything was really accurate, really perfect. It just rendered Stipe just inept. He just couldn't do anything to Jones. And yeah, it was a masterclass. And it really made me in a way happy because I think if he didn't put on a performance like that, I think he would have retired as well.
Yeah.
And I think now this lends to us seeing him maybe one, two more times, maybe more. But
Uh-huh.
I think it sets up the possibility of an Aspinall fight, and it sets up the possibility, if he wins that, of a Alex Pereira fight. And I think I want to see both of them. I wasn't sure I wanted to see Aspinall until I saw this performance, and now I think I would like to see him facing Aspinall and seeing if he can still beat the young Lions too. And yeah, I think it could set up the UFC with two incredible super fights coming up.
Yeah, definitely. I think Jones was already looking forward past Miocic to a certain extent because he's already been on record to say, I'd rather fight Pereira. And that actually is a negotiation tactic as well.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you want me to fight Aspinall? I guess you're gonna have to really pay for that, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You texted me that on Saturday night, and
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I think that, this puts him in the driver's seat,
Yep.
gives him
Absolutely.
the negotiating power for this, and he should accept nothing less than the most money that any fighter's ever been offered.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because, well, number one, he's earned it.
Yeah.
Far and away, he's earned it. And number two, yeah, like this is now going to the end of his career.
Yeah.
I think literally he's looking at it going, I got two more fights left in me, possibly, maybe only one, but it's Aspinall and Pereira or just Pereira. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
That's what I think is gonna happen.
It seems like the UFC and Dana White, Hunter Campbell really just want Aspinall. They
Yep.
really want him
Oh
to
yeah.
legitimize it, fight the young lion, and bull the interim belt. Is just been rendered null and void now, and Aspinall is that guy that people start thinking, okay, maybe he's got a chance at the heavyweight champion, the old guy. And I think the UFC doesn't want to entertain the Alex Pereira until and
That
if
happens.
he can dispatch Aspinall.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I see where the UFC is angling, and I see where John Jones is angling. It'll all come together, but they're just gonna have to pay Jones. That's all.
This was a huge event, always is in Madison Square Garden. They have had so many incredible events there in the history of the sporting world, and some boxing matches, lots of sporting events. It was pretty wild though when Donald Trump came in there, and he brought in Kid Rock and RFK and
Did he
Elon
have part of
Musk and
his
stuff.
cabinet there?
What's
Did
that?
did he have part of his cabinet there?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
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 like because I'm like those people shouldn't be there.
yeah. Yeah, no, he's already sort of placed people into the top positions in his cabinet,
Yeah,
and they were there, and everyone was getting massive cheers, and
yeah.
holy cow, it's Donald Trump's world, and we're living in it, and oh my God, yeah, it was pretty wild there. Uh, I think that he got the biggest cheer of the night out of anybody else.
No, no, no. He by far and away had the biggest cheer of the night.
Yeah.
for sure. Oh, and by the way, did you notice something? For his security detail, the Secret Service. Yeah, all those guys were like 6'10", 6'9", monsters,
Wow.
monsters.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Hey?
yeah, kind of
Yeah.
weird how that changed up so quickly.
Yeah. They kind of let him get this shot in the ear so he could do that. He could get in the president. Now they're gonna surround him and make sure
Yeah,
nobody's ever taking him out now.
yeah, exactly, exactly. It's a little different now, a little
Yeah.
different.
Okay. It was 31 years ago this past week that the UFC started. UFC 1 back in Colorado, first ever event. Pretty wild what it's come to. This event was massive. Great to see. So many celebrities there. Such a huge event. Great that they keep going into Madison Square and every year now. And this turned out to be an amazing, amazing, amazing event. Two retirements on the night. Stipe we talked about, and we had an earlier retirement. We're going to get to in a few minutes, but yeah, it was a phenomenal card. I do want to talk about the co-main event. Um, this was a great battle because it was a rematch, and it was two guys that usually bring it, always bring it. Let's just say always bring it, and it was gonna be interesting to see if Michael Chandler could avenge the defeat to Charles Oliveira and to have that vacant championship belt that Khabib had surrendered, and Oliveira was by far and away the better fighter in the first 4 rounds of this fight, taking the fight to the ground, dominating in the grappling department, and getting this. And then Keith, I don't want to call him no nonsense. Keith Peterson, all nonsense, allows Michael Chandler to hit Charles Oliveira 10 times in the back of the head and almost give Chandler this victory.
Yep.
It was so egregious and brutal that I can't believe that he let it go on like that. He was hammering him over and over and over on the back of the head in a scrambly takedown. And how did Peterson not stop it? Not to say anything, not get in there, and he allowed this to happen. It was brutal and it was just totally unfair. And I'm so happy that it didn't shift the real champion of this fight, who, I think Oliveira should have won this fight. And, you should never let somebody illegally strike a guy 10 times in the back of the head and give him the win.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad because like first some of those strikes I think in the beginning were on the side of the head, and then it was just like you know what, I'm just gonna bash him in the back of the head. I'm probably gonna get the win a lot faster. Like it was egregious. It was so bad, and I was trying to like he's gonna say something, right? No nonsense. Keith Peterson's gonna say no. Didn't say anything.
Oh, yeah, it was
Very
very
surprised.
annoying and frustrating, but I'm really happy that Charles Oliveira got the win. Chandler
Dominated him.
came on. I don't know why it took Chandler this long to do
Yeah.
what he did in that 5th round. He should have employed the same strategy that he did in that 5th round. They told him, you got to go and get it. And I don't
Yeah.
know why they didn't implore him to do that in the 2nd round, 3rd round,
Third round.
like,
Yeah.
why did it take 5 rounds to him to fight that way?
Yeah, like it just took him a long time to just kind of wake up in the fight. And then also too, Oliveira was not he wasn't really afraid of anything firing back at him. I think he had a better sense of Chandler's timing in this fight.
Yeah.
So he was better defensively at avoiding his strikes and stuff.
So next, I think Oliveira is going to fight the winner between Islam Makhachev and Arman Sarukian, and he'll be able to challenge the champion there. I see, um, I see Chandler finally fighting Connor, or who else? I don't really know who else, but um, I think this actually might legitimize Conor McGregor and bring him back to the cage, and they might have a battle finally.
Yeah, maybe, but maybe not. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't like it because it's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you still trying to eat off of Connor's table that he's not even at? Like what are you trying to do here? You know what I mean? Like I'm still of the mindset that he is not coming back. He'll just always try to put himself in the news cycle because that's what he likes. He likes people talking about himself. But I don't think he's coming back, man. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows who's gonna fight next? It could be Hooker, could be Dariush, could be Gamrot. Who
Hooker would be a
knows?
great fight. I love that. That would be a great matchup for Chandler to fight
Yeah.
Hooker.
Yeah. Yeah, they fought once before. He beat
Yeah,
Hooker first fight out of the gate.
yeah,
Great to give Hooker an opportunity to avenge it.
yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Bo overrated nickel. The whole entire Madison Square Garden was chanting that, and I
Oh yeah.
never knew that he got his nickname changed, but that's awesome. Uh, I was yeah, this fight wasn't fun.
No.
I don't understand why both guys employed the style that they did. This fight never hit the ground, and these guys are ground fighters. And so it was pretty boring, and that's why he got booed, and that's why he got chanted that, and it was disappointing.
Super disappointing. Because like these guys aren't good enough where they throw a combination of strikes and stuff. Like it was just one shot
Yeah.
and then out and then one shot and then like it was oh my it was one of the most boring fights that I've watched in quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the heck either was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bo tried to say I don't care if you're booing you, but this was great. I'm very impressed with this. But he watches it. I think he'll realize that it was not a good performance, and that's not what the UFC has brought him in for. Giving him this amazing opportunity at this young age and with this very very minimal record.
Yeah.
7-0 is nothing in the UFC, and yeah, well, I'm not sure what we're going to see next from either guy. I did mention how I was hoping that Rainier de Ritter would fight the winner of this. You remember
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
fought just last week when he submitted Gerald Mearshart. Let's hope. I always love seeing Bear Jew Paul Craig fight. Unfortunately, he's taken 5 losses in his last 6 fights, so he's in a little bit of a scary situation where he might lose his job. We'll see who's next for him, but he should not have just stood up this whole entire fight. This is on him too. He should have went to the ground. I know that Nickel is a very decorated wrestler and has a bit of a grappling game, but this was a miss for Paul Craig. He could have got this fight to the ground. I think he would have won.
Yeah, yeah, man. He should have at least attempted a takedown. The fact that none of them attempted takedowns throughout the entirety of this fight, I was super surprised at that. I'm like, so nobody's gonna try to take the other guy down. You're just like, yeah, nah, we'll just do light sparring. So cool, good stuff.
Yeah. The women's flyweight fight between the veteran Viviana Araujo and Carini Silva, number 7 and 11 in the division. Actually turned out to be a pretty damn good fight. Viviana, I thought, lost the first round, but then she took over the fight, landed a lot of great strikes, had control in the clinch, went for some submissions, and took over the fight. Nice to see the veteran at 37 beat the young buck and keep her ranking up a little bit higher in the top 10. And yeah, good performance.
Yeah, good performance. She like you said, I agree with you. I think she dropped the first round, but then came on for rounds 2 and 3. Her striking was great, kept pushing the pace, pushing forward. Good win by Raju.
Yeah. Okay. The fight that kicked off the main card ended up being Mauricio Rufy. Had to fight a late replacement guy in James Lontop for Charlie Campbell, who dropped off. Lontop missed weight, had to give 20% of his purse to Rufy, and I thought Rufy was good. He ended up winning the two rounds, and yeah, I thought Lontop might have probably won the third round, but
Third round.
Rufy had won the first 2. to solidify the victory and get the win.
Yeah, Ruffy was amazing. Like his power shots, man, he hit long top clean
Yeah.
a number of times. So many times that I was just like, any other fighter probably would have been that KO or finished, done. Long top is super tough. And the fact that he was able to come on in the third round and win the third round, very impressive.
Yeah.
Very
Incredible for late replacement and coming in. That look away uppercut that dropped
that,
him in that second round.
that was nice.
I thought, holy cow, he's done here. There's
Yeah.
no way he's making it out of this round. It staggered him bad, and huge round for Rufy. And then Lontop, yeah, proved that he's a super tough guy and winning the third round. Rufy called out Benoit Saint Denis. That would be an amazing fight. I'd love it if they could make that happen. Featured prelim had the Dragon Jonathan Martinez against the Maniac Marcus McGee. Great performance by McGee. Won it by decision and unanimous decision, 29-28 on all three judges. Outstruck him. Really just looked like he kind of just rendered Martinez a bit off.
Ineffective.
I just
Yeah,
was
off.
really
Yeah.
not able to employ the things that Martinez usually brings to the cage. McGee was faster. He was had better footwork, better control of the entire fight, I figured, and just really looked impressive.
He looked very impressive. Martinez couldn't figure out his rhythm, I don't think, throughout the entirety of that
No,
fight. And
no.
McGee was he was fantastic. He had great lateral movement, in and out, and then the combination of strikes and the speed of his strikes too gave Martinez a ton of problems.
Martinez is gonna kick himself though when he landed that really crucial leg kick that
Oh yeah,
almost took out McGee's leg fully.
yeah,
I think he didn't jump on it enough, and I
yeah,
think if he kept the fight standing, didn't clinch at all, I
yeah,
think he finishes the fight. He lands one more kick to that guy's leg, and that's it. And he ended up harming him, almost rendering him useless with one leg, and then he clinched, let McGee kind of get back into it, get his
yeah.
leg healed a little bit, and then he was able to ride out that third round. I think Martinez is going to be really mad at himself for not being able to finish it like that.
Yeah, yeah, like he should have been targeting that leg over and over again as soon as he got that huge reaction. Even I was surprised at how big a reaction that was. It's like
Yeah.
he was super hurt.
He was very hurt. Deontay Wilder was sitting in the crowd. They showed him during that fight. I made note of that. That was pretty wild to see, and good to see Wilder still in the fight game like that. There was a fight canceled just before the fight, the actual card began. Chris Weidman was supposed to fight Eric Anders. Anders got sick and had to cancel for a medical issue. That was really disappointing and pretty tough, and tough, especially for a guy that's a New York guy. And he had friends and family in the crowd. Wasn't
Yeah.
able to make the walk. Wasn't able to make the fight, and yeah, that's brutal. That's got to be sickening for a guy just like minutes before the card's supposed to begin, get the news.
Yeah, yeah, that's devastating news, and it does throw you off completely because you're expecting this, got all this hype behind you. You want to put on a good performance. Friends and family are there, then you don't get to do anything.
I was going to, if I had time, I was going to start looking back on cards over the last 2 years, see if there's been any cards that didn't have canceled fights, that didn't have changes of opponents and stuff. And I thought that's stupid to do because it happens every card. It's just every card. It's crazy. There was a canceled fight earlier in the week from this fight. Anthony Lionheart Smith was supposed to fight Dominic Reyes, got canceled. Nikita Krylov was supposed to fight Azimad Marzakhanov, and Randy Brown and Carlos Pratis was supposed to be on this card. They decided to make Pratis against Magny the week before, so Brown was out of this one. So yeah, it's brutal. It's got to be frustrating as hell for the fighters, for the fans, for the UFC, for just so many things. But this is a brutal sport, and I guess it's just going to happen in every card.
It's just gonna happen, man. Like it obviously Anders wanted to fight, but he had that medical issue and he couldn't go.
Yeah. I want to mention Jim Miller, absolute incredible OG. This guy just keeps doing it. It's incredible what he's doing at this old age. He's got the most fights, most wins in UFC history, almost the most performance bonuses, most this, most that, most. He got another huge win, his 27th UFC win, 45th fight, and another great finish, a submission victory. Awesome how he did it. He actually retired Damon Jackson with this fight, and holy cow, it's hard to even just put into words how great Jim Miller's career has been, and he's still doing it, and he might fight on UFC 400.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Him fighting for UFC 400, but no, he was spectacular, especially with the way that he caught Jackson in that with that arm in guillotine, and it was like it was over. I think Jackson knew it too.
Yeah.
That's the way, like it was
Just,
perfect.
he was crumpled up, like there was nothing he could do.
Yeah.
Like,
perfect technique.
Jesus Christ, like there was no way anybody's ever getting out of that. That the way he had him bent like that, and yeah, perfect technique, like you say. That was no nonsense Keith Peterson in there, not screwing up that one. Luckily, he got the win. Okay, David Onama. Wow, did he ever look phenomenal? This was a newcomer, Roberto Romero, making his UFC debut. But David Onama, holy shit, this guy looked awesome. Wow, what a performance. I was impressed by Romero for stepping in late and showing how tough he is as well. But Onama, man, this guy is elite fighter, and sky's the limit for the Ugandan.
Yeah, sky's the limit. I was super impressed with just how calm and patient he was.
Yeah.
And I think he probably was a somewhat surprised with how skilled and how good Romero was.
Yeah.
Because he was very good.
Yeah.
Like I was as impressed as I was with Onama, I was super impressed with Romero with the fact that, oh man, so if this guy actually had a proper fight camp. Yeah.
Onama said in the post-fight interview that he wasn't surprised, but he was really impressed. He said he made his UFC debut on 4 days' notice.
Yeah.
And so, he was expecting the guy to come in and be good, but he said, I was very impressed with how tough he was. And I was wanting to finish this fight, but he was so tough that it went to the judge. So, the heavyweight fight between Marcin Tybura and Yanata Diaz. Tybura really beat this guy up so badly in that end of that second round. Just massive elbows, just really slightly concussed him and really had him in a lot of trouble. But I have a serious problem with the ending of this fight because we talked about this before. This happened, I think it was earlier this year, maybe last year, but I think it was earlier this year, where the doctor came in and wasn't speaking the same language as the fighter and asked the fighter, where are you? And he said, the desert. And they said, oh, fight's over. And I think this screwed up again here, where they need a translator. If that doctor does not speak the language that's the same language as the fighter, which would have been Portuguese in this case, called off the fight because I just think they didn't hear what they wanted to hear. Didn't hear. I don't know what he said. I don't know what was said. But it's another super frustrating moment where we should have saw a third round in this one.
Should have saw a third round. I do agree with you on that. But at the same time, whoever the ref was could have stopped that fight at the end of that second round. Yeah. Because he was getting.
He was saved by the bell. He was saved by the bell for sure.
Saved by the bell. Yeah. Because the ref was right there.
Yeah.
And the ref was literally waiting for the bell.
Herb Dean was there. Close.
There.
Yes.
Very close.
And he came close to stopping it, but it wasn't stopped. He had that minute. They didn't deem, a bad cut. They didn't deem anything. I don't know what led to the call off of the fight. He was he was
Well,
in
he was
trouble,
wobbly when
sure,
he
but
got
he
up.
got saved by the bell, and
Yeah.
I think he deserved the opportunity at a third round.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. He did deserve the opportunity, but the one thing that is definitely missing in Denise's repertoire is he needs to work on that takedown defense.
Yeah.
But more importantly, he needs to learn how to get up
Yeah.
properly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
use that proper technique, because once you get that guy down to the ground, it's over.
Yeah, no, he's bad. He's terrible on the ground, and yeah, Tibura took advantage of that. Denise was supposed to fight the Black Beast on November 2nd. The Beast had a medical issue, so Tibura stepped in for this card. And yeah, but yeah, he's got to get good on his takedown defense, or if he gets taken down, he's got to be able to figure out how to get it back up, because you know anybody's going to do that to him from now on. And if he doesn't learn, he's getting out of the UFC soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mickey Gall is out of the UFC. I didn't even know he was still in the UFC, but this should put the nail in the coffin. He's 7-7 now. Took another loss, and Ramiz Brahimai got the KO victory, first round, 50K for it. Got one of the performances of the night.
That was impressive, and like yourself, I thought Mickey Gall was out of the UFC. I'm gonna be on, like, I was just like, oh, he's still there? Oh, okay, cool.
I was surprised that he's still there, and it was yeah, he shouldn't have been, and he's done. Huge reaction from the New York crowd, because he's a New York native and Albanian New Yorker, and amazing to see his family, his friends, and all the people in there. And Kevin McDonald had to jump in to save Mickey Gall, but Mickey Gall is not going to be saved. He will be out of the UFC after that loss too. Oban Elliott ended up getting 50K also. He is on an 8-fight win streak. He got 50K for his third round KO. Crazy leg kicks from him. Massive overhand right that dropped Hafez and brought him, and then just massive ground and pound until Mark Goddard pulled him off. Oban looks scary. Welterweight division put on notice, and this was a big win by the Welsh gangster.
Yeah, big win. Looked scary, looked impressive, and demolished them.
The other 50K went to John Jones, and the fight of the night was Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira. They got the other bonuses there. That's it for UFC 309. We don't have to talk about that opening fight. Let's talk about this fight night that's coming up this Saturday. Fight night 248, and this is in Macau, China. This is their 4th visit to China. First time in 10 years. They last fought there, Kung Lee against Michael Bisping back in August of 2014. This is Peter Yan and Davison Figueiredo, both former champions. Peter Yan was the former bantamweight champion, and Davison Figueiredo, 2-time flyweight champ. And it's a new 3-year contract Peter Yan announced today that he got from the UFC moving forward. This card is being played at, I believe it's
midnight
our time. Well, when it starts the prelims, 3 a.m. for the main card. So yeah, that's going to be hard to watch. I don't know how much of a breakdown you and I are going to be able to give to it. I might have to watch it maybe a week from today on the Monday.
Yeah, like when I was looking ahead and I saw the times, I'm just like, wait, what? Like I thought at first, I'm like, am I reading this wrong? 3 a.m? Nope.
Crazy. That's gonna be hard. I noticed it's not on cable or anything, so I don't know if I'll put an alarm, get up, or watch it later. I don't know what I'll do, but crazy. There's a lot of interesting fights on this card. The Yan Zhonan Tabitha Baby Shark Ricci fight should be good. Song Kanong against Muslim Salikov, I look forward to. Volkan Ozdemir calls Carlos Olberg. I like the looks of that one. And then they actually have 4 what they call title bouts. So on the road to the UFC in China, they have a long tournament. and it's the tournament finale in 4 different weight classes. So they're going to have the featherweight, they're going to have the bantamweight for the men, bantamweight for the women, and then they're going to have the women's strawweight title fight. So all 4 of those winners will get a UFC contract moving forward. A lot of fighters that I haven't heard anything about much, so it'll be interesting to see them. I'm gonna have to try to watch a few of their fights this week and get a little bit familiar with them. But yeah, those are always good fights. They're kind of like the Dana White Contender Series or the Tough, because you know they're fighting for a contract, for changing their life, finally getting a job with the UFC. So I expect all 4 of those should be really good.
Yeah, they should be very good fights. Because when you're fighting to put food on the table, yeah, you're going to put on a good performance.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of interesting fights. A lot of names that are hard to pronounce. There's this one guy here. I don't know. Buy me a vowel. How many vowels does the guy have in his name? But
Yeah.
he's 8-0 against Carlos Hernandez. And but yeah, we won't probably do a very, very extensive breakdown of this coming up next week because of the crazy time that it is. But yeah, it's good that the UFC's still putting on events like this and bringing in this Asian talent from around the world. It's going to be great.
Well, they have to. They have to because this is a global sport. You got fighters from all over the globe. Has to be done.
Yeah. Okay, man. Well, it was another marathon podcast, but fun as always. And yeah, we're doing great. And we've got a great basketball game tonight as well as Monday Night Football. So enjoy your evening, and we'll talk very soon.
You enjoy your evening as well. Always a pleasure. Have a good one.
Thanks, man. Cheers. Okay.
Cheers.
Bye for now. Okay, everybody. Appreciate your time and patience as always. Thanks so much for sticking in right to the end. And that was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. It was extensive, man. We had a ton of stuff to talk about. I do want to mention in the F1, they have a race this weekend, Saturday, Las Vegas. It's going to be late at night. I think it's 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Only 3 races left: Abu Dhabi, and then Abu Dhabi's the last race that comes up December 8th. So we're down into the very home stretch. In tennis, they had their very last tournament of 2024. This was in Italy. Yannick Sinner, number 1 against number 4 Taylor Fritz, ended up finishing in straight sets 6-4, 6-4. $4,881,500 for the winner of this Sinner. Top prize record for the ATP Tour. He's won almost $17 million in tennis this year. Won the first 2 Grand Slams, the Aussie Open, US Open, and he was 70-6 this year overall in the season. 23-year-old. Won 10 of his last 11 against top 10 opponents. Steroid controversy, got caught a couple times. I don't really know where that stands, but hell of a great season for him. This Bermuda Championship in golf, Rafael Campos won from Puerto Rico, his first ever tour title. 6 days after the birth of his child, they induced the labor so he could have the kid and come out and still play in this tournament. Changed his entire life. He had missed 13 of his last 14 cuts and was able to win. He was in serious danger of losing his tour card. He was number 147, only the top 125 get to keep it in the FedEx Cup ranks, and it did not look good for him. But now he's got an exemption into the 2026 season. He gets into all the major signature events, lots of that. Should be amazing. RSM Classic this week in Georgia, Sea Island, should be fun. And Rory McIlroy, he won his tournament, the tournament over in Dubai, the drive to Dubai. He got his 6th ever Europe's best player in the DP World Championships. Had a 2-shot win there, and proved that best that Europe ever brings on. So thanks so much. As I said, appreciate your patience, appreciate your love. Thanks for all the support. And yeah, thanks to the support for Anchor, Verbero, Pampas and Possibilities, and Forever Living. You guys know who you are. We love you. Appreciate everything you do. Take care of yourself. Have an awesome week ahead, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.